Christ, recorded in Israel, scripture, dramas, interviews. Join us.
Find it at moodyradio.org/Cleveland under Programs.
Parents are often gravely concerned about their teens' behavior. The ugly dust-ups can cause the whole family to spiral out of control. Hi, I'm Mark Gregston with Parenting Today's Teens. When there's conflict in the home, it's important to figure out what's behind the behavior. We cannot discount the sin and turmoil of an out-of-control teen, but in order to find a solution, it's essential to determine the root cause. Acting out is a symptom of a deeper problem, and as parents, it's our job to peel back the layers and figure out what's hiding behind the facade. Next time your teen is acting out and behaving inappropriately, make it your job to find out what's behind it all. Behavior is never the main issue. It always points to something bigger.
Want more help from Mark Gregston? Find books and other resources online at parentingtodaysteens.org. That's parentingtodaysteens.org.
How do you know your Christianity is the real deal? How do you know that your Christianity is the real deal? How do you know that your faith is set on a firm foundation? How do you know that? It's a good question. I wonder what your answer is.
Here is Jonathan Griffiths with today's Moment of Truth.
We stake our eternity actually on the answer that we give to that question. We build our lives on the foundation of our Christian hope. It's our everything, isn't it? Every decision is made around that. How do we know that we have the message right? Well, what is the God-ordained, God-given, reliable, trustworthy mechanism for the delivery of the message of Jesus Christ? Well, it is the same today as it was then. Jesus sent his apostles to proclaim his word and to write it down. And other faithful messengers went out with the apostolic word and communicated that word beyond the reach of the apostles themselves. And the litmus test then, as now, was fidelity to the apostolic word. Is the message true? Is the message complete? Is it the authentic gospel? Here is the test. Is it faithful to the apostolic word, the written word of the New Testament scriptures? Is a preacher or a teacher reliable, trustworthy? Is he giving us the real message, the authentic gospel, the complete word? Here is the test, the only test. Is that preacher faithfully communicating the apostolic word, faithfully teaching what the Bible says?
That's Jonathan Griffiths with today's Moment of Truth. To learn more, visit encounterthetruth.org.
Helping you take the next step in your walk with Christ. And home of Mornings with Brian. This is Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
An executive order is expected to be signed today by President Trump that aims to do away with the Department of Education. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The order has reportedly been in the works for weeks now. He will then direct Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take all steps necessary to begin the closure of the DOE and return authority to individual states. Changes are coming to Kent State University. Trustees this week have approved plans to cut approximately 30 administrative positions. A number of majors are also on the chopping block, including media and journalism, public health, and athletic training. And finally, a Lorraine County property was the scene of a large-scale animal seizure yesterday. More than 200 farm animals were collected from a location in Wellington, with witnesses saying that animals lacked proper shelter and food. In sports, the Cavaliers bowed to the Kings 123-119. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. A chance of showers this morning, showers likely this afternoon. It'll be much cooler also, with our highs in the lower 50s. At last check, light rain, 52 degrees in Cleveland, Akron and Canton 51, and Worcester checking in at 50 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
The spring equinox, also known as the vernal equinox, is one of the 4 solar marking posts of the year. The equinox, which translates roughly in Latin to equal night, is when the sun sits vertically above the equator, thus making day and night equal across the planet. The spring equinox officially marks the beginning of spring in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's a brilliant time for new beginnings, like the flowers popping up in our beds. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:02. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine Studio. It's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Good morning. It's Thursday, and boy, the band is back together again. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, Laren Cuevas.
She's been gone so long she forgot how to put her headphones on. You're struggling over there.
It was on the largest setting.
Well, we had big-headed people coming in here.
Yes.
I don't even know who it was.
Mark and Jerry.
Mark and Jerry.
Jerry sat there.
Maybe he's got a very large head.
Jerry.
Filled with love for Jesus, of course.
Yes.
Yes. His knowledge of the scriptures puffed him up.
Now, you sound a little plugged up.
Yep, still am.
So you've got a cold still.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I wish you would stop that. I feel like you always have a cold.
Yes, 5th one since Christmas.
Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not cold. 2 of them were throwing up, but I just, add those in there.
Yeah, thanks for keeping that.
Yeah.
So this is the daycare / preschool Petri dish
church.
life you're living, church.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, when you stay home, you can't do that with little babies.
No.
Boy, I don't know how we're going to toughen up your immune system.
I take immune support every day. 2 of them.
Maybe you should take 3.
I don't know.
But we missed you.
Oh, that's nice.
We did. Ron was crying a little bit one
Oh, my
day.
gosh.
That's not true. He didn't, but I feel like he might have.
On the inside.
Yeah. He was weeping.
It's given the
on
opportunity,
inside. Yeah, exactly. Ron Eastwood.
Yes, sir.
Did you pick up a hitchhiker last night?
No.
He said he had a story for me, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Hitchhiker time.
Yeah.
This
Weather's
is
getting warm.
A home story.
Uh-oh.
As many people know, but in case you don't, my wife Dana had a knee replacement a couple weeks ago. So since then, she's been sleeping downstairs in the recliner because they don't want her to roll on her side.
Brutal.
And the recliner, the way it's built, obviously keeps you from rolling over. You're stuck on your back. So she's downstairs. I go up to bed about 9 o'clock, I think, finally, after falling asleep on the couch multiple times. So I'm up there, and I leave the door open because I figure if she needs anything, I'll hear that. I don't take my phone up because why would I? I never do. So there I am sleeping at 1:30, and I hear a muffled scream.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what in the world? Throw off the covers, and I go dashing down there. And as I turn the corner, I see she's still in the recliner. My first thought had been that she'd gotten up to go to the bathroom or something and had fallen. So I come, I'm like, are you okay? And she's still asleep. And so
she was sleep screaming.
Yeah. I talked to her a little bit and she came out of it. But I said, you screamed. So I came down. But it was that, sleep paralysis scream where you can't really get it out. So it's, and that's what she was doing.
It happens. My dad told me about a story. They took my son Marshall on a trip years ago. He was little, in case his friends were listening, so leave him alone. And in the middle of the night,
it wasn't yesterday.
He just sat up in bed and screamed like he was being murdered.
Oh, no.
And then laid back down. He was asleep the whole time. My dad was like, I almost had a heart attack. I almost didn't make it through. Yeah, people do this.
Right. And I didn't get much sleep the next 2 hours because the adrenaline rush had kicked in. So,
and I would like to note that it was Ron heard a muffled scream.
Yeah.
He's refused to give his wife a bell. You would have known if she needed help if you'd given her a bell, Ron.
So I would have, because she was asleep, she would not have used the bell.
Maybe she couldn't have gotten to the bell.
I would have ignored the scream. Just, that's not a bell. Okay.
It's funny. We all have our own answer to the famous Meatloaf song. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Like Ron would do anything for Dana, except he gets almost visibly angry if I suggest that with her new knee, she get a bell.
It's true.
What is that about? Why is it the line in the sand?
I think.
Did your parents ring a bell for you to go and do things or something? It's
Pavlov's dog.
The more recent remake of Parent Trap with Dennis Quaid and Lindsay Lohan playing both kids.
Oh, you're speaking Lauren's language right now.
Yeah, that they gave the snotty fiance gave the housekeeper
Meredith Blake. Thank you very much.
A bell. And she would ring it and go, Chessie.
Chessie.
And That bugged me, because I didn't like Meredith very much.
Who does?
Because she did her character well. So, yeah, deep inside of me, no bell.
Because of the Parent Trap.
Because then he's Chessie.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be Chessie, though, Ron.
I know. She's great.
She's the best. Her outfits, her hair.
Her whole
her
demeanor.
attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you won't do that. You will not give your invalid wife sleeping downstairs a bell. You're forced to be screeching scared by screams. He didn't have his phone in the bedroom.
Yeah, I did one night.
You know what I mean? Like that's
she had no way of getting your attention.
Except muffled screaming as she's being attacked.
The first
by
night
an intruder.
The first night I took my phone up, and she didn't need it, so I thought, okay.
So, the first night,
okay. She'll never need this because she didn't one time.
Yeah.
First night, I'll take it off.
I get it. I mean, we all draw a line somewhere. I do anything for love, but I won't do that. What's yours, Daria? Do you have one?
I don't know. I have to think about that. Jimmy Jimmy really likes board games, and there's some I'm like fine with and I enjoy. There's a few I will not play. I don't understand them. I don't enjoy them.
You also have a thing against like dad jokes. Like you just. Like you gave him a quota, right? How many dad jokes a day?
I don't remember. It wasn't because I hate dad jokes. It's because they were just coming rapid fire, and I'm like trying to get to know this guy and figure out if this is someone I want to marry, and he just would not stop with the jokes.
That sounds like marriage material to me. What else do you need to know? You probably have a couple things.
Oh,
for
I'm
Eddie.
sure I have tons.
A long list. Can you think of it off the top of your head, or
just has to happen in the moment? I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that.
I feel like Eddie has more than most men.
Yes.
Can you think of any of his? I do anything for love, but I won't do that. You have to kind of
I'll have to think about it.
on this, and maybe tomorrow, Follow-Up Friday, we'll do a
we have Pastor Tanks. We'll see what he says too.
meatloaf segment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are you going to make a meatloaf?
I haven't in a while. Maybe I should.
Maybe you should.
I love a meatloaf.
Yeah,
but for breakfast, I don't know.
A breakfast meatloaf sounds pretty good to me.
In parts of the
You do
world,
with bacon and sausage.
Daria. Okay, fine. You can make it for us. You have all the
I'm
ideas.
not offering.
You're not?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, she would do anything for the show, but she
Won't
won't
do
do that.
Well, there's many things I won't do for the show.
Well, it is good to have Laren back, and we've got Dave Szfranski back from the jungle.
As far as I know, sometimes he texts me last minute because he forgets to tell me things.
Yeah, no surprise.
That tracks.
But he'll be here answering your financial questions. You can get those in anytime you want. 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. But we got more to come here in just a few minutes.
If you're 65 or older, you know this. Seeing your healthcare costs go up and up is frustrating. And maybe you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing again, or you're just tired of the massive deductibles. Well, here's some good news. There's a program that can really help with this. It's MediShare 65 Plus. It's an affordable, reliable alternative. You can choose any Medicare provider. You get telehealth access anytime you need it. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. MediShare is a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith. People actually pray for you. They encourage you, and it's proven, too. It's been going strong for over 30 years now. So call now. You can get one low monthly price for up to 10 years. You're not stuck with increasing costs. You can do something about this today. Call MediShare 65 Plus. Find out how much you can save. Call 833-59-SHARE. That's 833-59-SHARE. 833-59-SHARE.
You can finish your bachelor's degree no matter where you started it. When you earn your Bachelor of Science in Integrated Ministry Studies from Moody Bible Institute, you'll learn to integrate the Bible into whatever field you're in now or choose to pursue after graduation. Transfer up to 90 credits into this full online, flexible, customizable program that will allow you to finish any bachelor's degree and strengthen your ministry skills. Get started today at moody.edu/integrated. That's moody.edu/integrated.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ, one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
619 WCRF. Parties might be dead. Parties. You guys like a good party? Like any type of partying. Like a good Christian get together. Like the Washington Post is worried that parties are dead.
Well, I hadn't thought about it. I
well,
just
you don't party, dude.
Yeah,
I don't either.
Go anywhere, so I wouldn't notice.
You and I are like, haven't they always been dead? I never get invited.
Yeah.
In my undergraduate degree, I got invited to one party and I left after like 20 minutes. I was like, well, this is dumb. I'm going to go home and go to bed. Lauren's looking at me like, you loser.
That tracks.
So I'm actually curious. And by the way, party does not have to be
a rager.
Sinful rager. This could be just, a
dinner
big
party,
gathering.
get together with friends.
So the person dramatically writes here, you know the perfect party when you feel it. The right details certainly help. Whether, whatever's going on, there's the decorations, blah, blah, blah. But a great gathering always comes down to the vibe.
Correct.
Yeah. And I read that, I go, that's Lauren language. So
what are the vibes?
You can go into like a small group party and know, okay, the vibe here is good. You've talked about this actually.
Yeah, sure.
So what makes a great get-together?
You can't describe vibes, Brian.
Well, then how
they
are we
just
supposed...
are vibes. Vibes are vibes.
What were the vibes at my house for the Christmas party 2 years ago?
Oh, gosh. Good vibes.
That's such a lie.
No, it's fine.
They were fine vibes, but that's not what anybody's going for. Like, what's the recipe? Just help me a little bit.
What vibes do you want?
You have to have like the right grouping of people.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
that
it's
are
the people.
Chatty enough, but not like going to overtake the conversation.
Do you want strangers there? Some strangers, maybe mysterious strangers?
See, okay, there's a balance. You can't have total opposite friend groups. You have to have some overlap.
Okay.
They have to have something in common.
Yeah, but some strangers is good.
So maybe a couple people from a different small group that you've seen it from afar that seem kind of mysterious.
Right.
Okay. Is there decor or is that not required?
It depends on is it a, party for some holiday?
I don't know. Sure. Yeah.
If it is, then yeah.
I get
Hearts
nervous
for
if
Valentine's.
Yeah, I get nervous
shamrocks.
if I see decorations. I was like, whoa, we tried a little hard here. What are we trying to accomplish here? But
they wanted it to look nice.
What about like place cards, like assigned seats for like a meal? You like those?
If that's the vibes of the party.
You can do that for
if that's what you want to do.
If you're having like a formal dinner party or it's like Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, sure. But generally speaking, I'd say no.
What about the vibes for a Moody party, like a students at Moody Bible Institute getting together on Friday night? Like, what's the vibe? What are you doing?
On a Friday night at Moody, we would meet in the first floor of one of the dorm buildings.
Okay.
Where you're allowed to have co-ed groupings.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we would have a Shabbat ceremony, like someone made bread.
What?
Yep. Typically me.
At first, I'm like, this is scandalous, both genders at Moody Bible Institute, but then we're having a religious ceremony.
Correct.
That's not a typical Friday.
Well, you asked about Bible college students, so.
Mm-hmm. What about a really fun one? Was that fun?
Yes.
Look at the look on your face. Like, what's one with that other people would think is fun?
I don't know. I didn't have those experiences.
You didn't? Okay.
No, you asked me my experience.
What about at your Christian university, Daria? Were you guys having Shabbat ceremonies?
No, I wasn't.
Ron, you went to a Christian school.
Yes, I did.
Party.
Some, yeah. Geneva College was not everybody was committed to teetotaling, so there was the ragers off campus for some people.
But you were too busy praying for that, so.
Right, of course. Now, my kind of weekend party would be more just getting together with friends, and it more often than not was the same group of friends, and we'd be playing some games together or something.
I had a lot of parties post-college. We were married already.
With like other couples?
Yeah, and like New Year's Eve parties or Christmas parties or we had Halloween parties where you'd watch all the Halloween towns. Yeah, so those kind of parties just with a bunch of our friends, but we're already like working adults. And I don't know that has stopped, but there's multiple reasons it could have stopped for me. Number one, I have children now, so I don't just have time at any time just to go to people's houses and go have a party. Or also, we're in a new place where we don't have that established community where back in Chicago, we already had that for 11 years of living.
Well, yeah, and the Washington Post thinks that post-COVID, like they talk to all these like party experts, which is hilarious. But like people that own clubs or were known for owning big clubs, or whatever, that partying is dead after the pandemic. Now, some signs of that, according to them, Party City is going out of business.
I did see that.
But what about all the Halloween costumes?
I mean, Party City.
I mean, I'm not sure that it's just because people aren't having parties. I threw Jimmy a 30th birthday party 2 years ago, and
That's
I went
where
in
you
there.
go.
Yeah, I was quite disappointed with their selection. I could not find what I wanted.
30 is kind of boring, so maybe they weren't people going in there for.
No, I wasn't even looking for 30 specific. I was just looking for
Stuff.
for decor and stuff and plates. I was not happy with the stuff they had. I ended up getting most of the stuff at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff on Amazon for recent birthday parties.
And I hear people Dollar General.
Oh, yeah.
They go to one of the dollar type stores and
Do
pick
love
up
a
their
dollar
stuff
store.
there.
Okay, so two other signs though parties might be dead.
Okay.
I guess. I mean, for Christians, it'd be the sparkling grape juice is probably there as well, but champagne
Welch's.
sales have tanked.
Oh, interesting.
And clubs, popular clubs in New York and LA, or New York and London, are closing.
Does that have more to do, you think, with the economy? People can't afford champagne and they can't afford going out.
And champagne is it's known for the wedding toast and crashing a bottle against a new boat. Other than that, do people, drink champagne on a regular? Or
Yeah, that's a great question.
I don't know. I mean, we get, for New Year's Eve, we get sparkling grape juice for the kids, and it's a lot of fun. But I mean, what they're trying to
delicious.
say is all the signs are pointing to people aren't going out and gathering in large groups having fun anymore. And millennials in particular, are just a bunch of fuddy-duddies now.
We have children.
Well, not all of you.
Yes, we're in our 30s and some 40s.
Well, a lot of you are
We're
waiting
not
to get 30 to get
that
married.
type of age anymore.
So now they have 4 explanations as to why this could be happening, because I think I've even noticed, I wasn't invited to lots of parties for reasons I'm sure you can all come up with very quickly. We won't have you do that at the moment. You can just imagine them. But they don't happen anymore, like gatherings and such. And so they're saying the economy could be one, as you indicated. Part of it could be a culture shift in the pandemic where somebody experimented with, what if we did earlier parties? Like some clubs experimented with being open from 5 to 10.
I'd be down for that.
And it was a raving success.
Wow.
People were like, wait, I could go home at 10? Yeah, sure.
Sounds nice.
And there were others that tried non-alcoholic bars because people were like, I don't know that it's a great idea for health even anymore.
Right.
And because it's true, to go out there and get plastered all the time. And so non-alcoholic bars are becoming very popular, and trivia nights and things.
I've always wanted to go to one of those. They're popping up.
Yeah, and some of them even do cooking classes, singles nights, things like that, where it's
That's fun.
They don't call them, sober parties. They call them alcohol-free parties. And I think a lot of Christians would be like, well, that sounds fun. Let's go to do that.
Sure.
And the other one is people are creating phone-free spaces because people say that the pandemic caused us to retreat into our phones and we haven't figured out how to get out of that mess yet. So if you have a get-together, people just sit in the corner and stare at their phone. So there's companies that have designed bags that you put your phone in it and it locks it up in case of an emergency. There's a button you push or something, but it forces people to do this. And they're hoping that's going to revive this. But parties as they were before the pandemic apparently are gone. How do you feel about this? You got all the feels?
I don't agree.
Ron doesn't agree.
I mean, I still see every major holiday, most recently St. Patrick's Day, you hear advertised in the small communities like Medina, the St. Patrick's Day bar crawl.
Oh, yeah. Garrettsville was packed.
Okay.
Every
Case in
St.
point.
Patrick's Day, yeah.
And people still do. I mean, I would consider that a party, even though you're going from location to location. But you're with your group of friends and you travel across town and then find a way to get back to your car. Hopefully you're able to drive or you get an Uber.
But what about the hip young people we have here? The early 30s and the late 20s. Come on, party.
Well, they'd be the ones doing the crawl. I'm not out there.
Oh.
I'm at home.
Cuyahoga Falls was packed.
I'm sure.
Like I was almost running people over because they're just wandering into the streets.
So you all aren't seeing this trend of get-togethers changing?
Maybe it's not happening in people's houses like it was before.
Because it used to a lot, right? People would just have, hey, come on over. We're going to have a...
At least for me it did.
So you and Eddie were doing regular,
Yes.
like, just cuz get-togethers
Yes.
at people's houses.
Mm-hmm.
And those aren't happening. But you're not sure if you're a good example of that.
Yeah, because
you moved.
I moved and I have 2 small children.
Are your friends in Chicago still doing that?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I am thinking of maybe 3 different friend groups, some that work at Moody, some from church, and then my sister and her friends. And I don't think any of those groups are really doing it anymore.
So the Washington Post is worried about that trend. Are you guys worried about that? Is that
No,
a
why would
concern?
I'm not worried. Why would we be worried?
Well, I mean, being in groups of people and being in community is a good thing. And so even if this trend leaks into Christian circles, right, we might end up with people getting together on Sunday for church, and that's it. We would lose the flair of regular get-togethers.
I mean, I think people are still getting together. Like Lauren and Ron indicate, I think they're going out. And also, I'm not sure they have hard evidence that parties are going away. I think the markers that they indicated with champagne sales being down, people not going to clubs, and Party City going out of business, I think that's more indicative of the economy. I think people are maybe just finding cheaper ways to get together and have fun.
Right. Party City going out of business is like Joann's is going out of business. So does that mean nobody's crafting anymore?
No. That doesn't
No,
mean
they're just
that.
buying it online.
Yeah. Or at Hobby Lobby or something.
Yeah, and I don't know if we should be too worried about it or not. I mean, I would hope that some of these signs are actually good for culture. Like, for example, binge drinking disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent for American society.
Yeah.
Becoming, I mean, it used to be quote unquote cute for you to just spend most of your 20s drunk, and now people are going, actually, you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, in fact, they talk about a lot of people in their 20s in here that are just like, they're not Christians, but they're like, I don't know if I want to do that. Because they didn't during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I don't know if I need this in my life, which is why the non-alcoholic parties are popping up.
No, even young people are realizing earlier than I think previous generations, alcohol is quite destructive, which is good.
It is. Look, turns out God's right. Drunkenness is not good. Funny how that always works out that way. So I kind of like the idea. We've talked about third places here before, that our society is very lacking today in third places.
Right.
So before it would have been everybody's part of the Lions Club and the whatever club.
Rotary, Oddfellows.
And like bowling leagues
Kiwanis.
and things like that. Yeah, not anymore. Well, one of the non-alcoholic bars they highlighted is called the Third Place Bar.
Oh.
There you go.
Because there's a realization collectively that we're missing something. And I think this could be a larger trend towards pressing against the destructive nature of smartphones. And I wonder if society is going to self-correct against them in some way. And I think these are all part of that, because at the end of the day, I think smartphones ruin get-togethers.
Yes, I would agree.
They ruin them. So this could be good. Yay, America. We're self-correcting. And I'm proud to be in. Okay, 6:33, time for a quick break. Walmart evangelism. It's a thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I just sit in my car and wait for them to bring it to my car.
And say, God bless you
And
when
I
they
say,
leave.
thank you, bye.
They're supposed to check my ID, and they never do.
Are these really? Oh, they don't
It's
check
like,
mine.
hey, is this for Sarah? I go, yeah, I'm the alternate.
Yeah, I'm
Brian.
Sarah.
He's like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, well, here, give me the groceries.
Mine is, yeah, I'm Lauren Downey. Thank you.
Why do you go by Downey?
I don't know. Somehow I started the account before I changed my name, which I can't believe, but apparently I did.
Wow, look at you. Well, people are evangelizing at Walmart. The question becomes, is it effective? And this is the question the person who's doing it is asking. We'll talk more about it in just a minute.
I'm Nate Hunter, and this is Pause for Prayer. Do you struggle with pornography, homosexuality, or other physical gratification issues? The Bible is all about loyalty and respect in relationships, and all about integrity in our own personal lives. The devil uses our fleshly desires to draw us away in today's society, and has since the days of Abraham, Isaac, David, and Samson. Let's pause for prayer. Heavenly Father and Creator of the universe, we need your help. Before we ask for that help, we want to recognize and acknowledge who you are. You're the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. You not only created the stars and moons, you created us as human. You know our strengths and our weaknesses. We acknowledge right up front that our weaknesses can be our downfalls. We live, Lord, in this world with temptations around us every day. Modern technology puts graphic pictures at the push of a button on our computers and cell phones. Our own sin nature cries out against us every day by alluring us into sexual thoughts and actions. You told us in Scriptures, Lord, that just looking at the opposite sex with lustful thoughts is sin. Also, just like in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, there are many who look at their own gender with lustful thoughts. Now that we've acknowledged who you are and our strengths, and who we are and our weaknesses, we need your help. Please protect our eyes. Help us to not seek out visual pleasures on TV or in magazines. When that visual stimulus just appears, help us to bounce our eyes. When that sexual stimulus penetrates our thoughts, help us not to dwell on them. We need your help, Father, to always remember Philippians 4:8 and 9. We need to keep our minds fixed on what is admirable and pure. We ask this for ourselves, our family, and our friends. In Jesus' name, amen.
Moody Radio is on the air thanks to support of listeners and Pinnacle Peak Pictures.
There's no greater love.
From Pinnacle Peak Pictures comes The Last Supper, coming to theaters starting March 14th. A biblical journey that brings to life the ultimate act of love and sacrifice as seen through the eyes of those who walked alongside Jesus. The Last Supper, rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters starting March 14th.
Today, there is a disciple-making church-planting movement that's taken root in 40 countries around the world. It's called the Timothy Initiative, and its mission is to see a healthy church planted in every village, everywhere. Since 2007, over 200,000 churches have been planted through the work of the Timothy Initiative, but there's more work to be done. Take your place in the Timothy Initiative. Go to ttiglobal.org.
Pour another cup of coffee and settle in for engaging, Christ-centered conversations. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios, Christian counseling for adults, couples, children, and families. North Coast Family Foundation. And thanks again to everybody who gave during our share campaign. You were so generous. We are super grateful. Still a little ways to go yet to our 100%. So you've been giving the last couple of days. It's been super inspiring.
Thank you so much.
You can still do that. 800-600-9624. 800-600-9624. moodyradio.org. All right, so Walmart evangelism.
Yes.
There's somebody who was in their master's degree at a college, and part of their class, they went out doing evangelizing, and they picked Walmart, okay? And this experience has caused them to try to kind of evaluate, like, what is evangelism and what counts as evangelism.
Mm-hmm.
I think Moody students have to do things like that, right? Like you have to go out and evangelize in Chicago somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like for you? What was you go out with like the steps to assurance or something and you, excuse me, sir, at the cloud or the bean. Excuse me, sir.
Some people do that. Some people do street evangelism. Other people go...
on the L, right? They stand on the platform?
Go on the L.
I see you're waiting for a train. Jesus is like a train.
Yeah, or there was one class, don't remember what it was called, but you had to like adopt a restaurant. So you'd go into one of the neighborhoods in the city and you go to like an ethnic restaurant and you go there for multiple weeks, learn about them, learn about their culture, get to know them, and then you would use that later on throughout the semester to evangelize to them.
Oh, that's good. I like that one. What did you do?
There is a little restaurant next to the school that a lot of taxi drivers go to. And there are a bunch of... Yeah, you know that one I'm talking about?
I think it's like Middle Eastern. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Delicious food.
I bet.
So me and my friends would go there once a week. We got to know the people. And they're Muslim. And we got to know them, got to know their names, their families. We go during lunchtime when all the taxi drivers are going for their lunch. And then we start evangelizing over a period of time.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you say evangelizing, what did that mean? Like, were you like, hey guys, here's a little pamphlet?
No, we would talk about, we go to school here. This is what we believe. This is why we believe it, and just have conversations with them.
And they were willing to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's look at the Walmart strategy. This person describes it. I'll just read their words, and we'll see what you guys think. As a college freshman, my friends and I spent many Friday evenings wandering around Walmarts in southern Ohio. We paced the tile floors, squinted under fluorescent lights, smelled the bread wafting from the subway in the foyer. It's so Walmart. We strolled up and down the aisles, passing unloaded pallets and abandoned carts, but we weren't there for groceries. We were there to ask shoppers how we could pray for them. Our method was simple. Identify a shopper, approach that person slowly, and introduce yourself. Be warm, concise, state your purpose. Hi, my name is Heidi. And this is my friend Leah. We're Christians, and we're wondering if there's anything we could pray for you today. Then we would smile and wait for the person that we were speaking to.
That pause was Brian smiling at me.
Yeah. And you'd wait for the person to no longer look startled. True.
Yeah, that is true.
And then many people, she said, would no longer, they said, no, thank you. They hurried away. The ones, like when people are like, hey, you want to buy this? When you walk in a store, you're like, nope, I'm good. And you just keep going.
Yeah.
They'd get a lot of that. Some people ignored them, pretended they didn't hear them, and kept reaching for canned goods and such. Some responded with open derision, emitting unfriendly grunts and mumbling things like, you fundamentalists. But occasionally a person would say, sure. We'd inquire about what, and then we'd start praying. Our prayer offer was genuine, though perhaps sort of a front, because what we really wanted was to evangelize. And so they would do an evangelistic type prayer that was like kind of baiting the person. What do you think? A lot of people listening are like, amen. That's what we should all be doing.
I don't think you should be using prayer as a front to do something else.
True.
Prayer is not that type of weapon.
What do you mean? What are you trying to say here? Why can't
I said what I said.
No, but there's someone listening that their mind exploded. They don't understand what you're saying. What do you mean you shouldn't use prayer that way?
Because you're not actually wanting to pray for them.
They said it's genuine. They really were.
No, they said it was genuine, but it was used as a front to evangelize.
So they have an ulterior or additional motive.
You're
it's
not
just, I want to pray for you because I care about the hard time you're going through.
I think it can be both, can't it? That's what she's saying. It's both. It's not a necessarily front. They genuinely believe in the power of prayer. They're Christians.
Okay, so what is their purpose then in going around to Walmart and asking strangers if they can pray then? Why are we doing this, especially when you've already admitted that at least one of your motives is evangelizing?
Well, yeah, because they're going to hell. You don't want to go. You like it hot? You don't want to walk up and go, "Hey, you like it hot or you like it heavenly?" Which one? Pick one. No, I mean, you don't want to be that aggressive. So they care about their eternal souls, ladies.
I would feel better if they prayed for them and prayed for their concerns and stopped there. And you leave it there. If the shopper should want to continue the conversation, they'll say, this is really interesting. Nothing like this has ever happened to me. Why are you guys doing this? That opens the gateway for more conversation.
I mean, the fact that the majority of people either ignored them or were hostile tells you that they're doing something wrong.
That's not what they told themselves.
I can tell myself a lot of things, but I'm also very good at lying to myself.
Here's what she wrote. Sure, we'd get backlash, but the gospel was offensive to non-believers. Daria. A stumbling block in Paul's words in 1 Corinthians. Backlash was to be expected. Our job was to shake the dust off our feet, as it says in Matthew. One chapel speaker at their school quoted Charles Spurgeon on the subject. If sinners be damned, Spurgeon wrote, at least let them leap to hell over our dead bodies. It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, Spurgeon-esque there.
So, Daria, they were offended by the gospel.
No, they're offended by your actions.
It's nice to pray for people,
They
Daria.
couldn't be offended by the gospel because it hadn't even shared yet.
But it was
They
close.
hadn't even asked them to change their lives or show them a different way.
They were offended by the people.
Yeah, you are offended by the gospel because it's so dramatically different than what you want to live like. But the gospel hadn't even been shared, so it wasn't that they were offended by the gospel.
But you don't see, praying is nice, Lauren. When thoughts and prayers, when tragedies happen, everybody's thinking and praying.
But then you've said you want to pray for somebody and you've shown care and concern for them, which I believe it is true. But then you've leave them with a bad taste in their mouth because they're like, oh, you actually didn't really care about me. You didn't care about my concerns or the hard things in my life because you just wanted to convert me. You're trying to show care, but you're just using it actually against me.
People aren't stupid. They can smell out on an ulterior motive or when you're not being genuine.
Yeah, that actually reminds me. I quickly realized as a high school teacher, so many people treat teenagers like total idiots. And they're a lot smarter than people presume they are. We were taught to do choice theory. You can choose to stop being rude or you can choose to go to the office. It's like, are you kidding me? An 18-year-old? They know what you're doing. So what you're saying, though, goes in kind of directly opposed to the way a lot of people evangelize. Right?
It could.
So what counts as evangelism? This person, when they examined their actions, they were like, wait a minute, maybe these people were just offended that random strangers were asking to pray for them. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, typically people at Walmart, they're in a rush. If you want to pray for people, I think you should pick a much more relaxed setting, like a coffee shop where you can actually chat with them and they're not running out the door. You're trying to get home to kids or wrestling kids right in front of you or something like that. And for women, we in particular don't like to be approached by strangers because alarm bells start going off.
Mm-hmm. What about handsome strangers?
No.
Even worse.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back. I want to dig more into this person's almost crisis moment of asking, okay, well then what is evangelism? If that wasn't effective because people were offended by our nice gesture, it's a well-intentioned gesture. What is evangelism? We'll talk about it in just a minute.
From Moody Publishers, a book designed to grow your faith, to really authentically grow your faith. In Fake Christianity, Jed Coppinger exposes the hidden traps of hypocrisy, prayerlessness, neglecting the Bible, gossip, and bitterness. Then, with a pastoral heart, Coppinger takes you through the teachings of Jesus, showing how to overcome inauthenticity and grow in true discipleship. Is it time to finally get serious about following Jesus? Fake Christianity is available right now at moodybooks.org.
In the Old Testament book of Deuteronomy, Moses had a special message for the Israelites, and now for us. Love God with all our hearts and trust Him always. Your children need this message too. Today in the Word's Family Study will help them understand why it's important to know God's commands and obey them. To download your free copy of this month's family study, go to todayintheword.org/family. Spend time in God's Word together. todayintheword.org/family.
Hey there, I'm Brant Hansen, and they call this the best kept secret in the world, and it needs to not be a secret anymore. It's the work of Cure International Children's Hospitals, 8 top-notch surgical hospitals healing kids in the name of Jesus, and this is the best part, openly, brilliantly sharing the gospel with the kids and their families as they heal. 18,000 surgeries last year, 40,000 plus people making decisions for Christ. This should not be a secret. Check it out for yourself. You'll see what I mean. Cure.org/Moody. Cure.org/Moody.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ, one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
6:51. A lot of followers of Christ, evangelicals, mainline Protestants, they want to evangelize. We want people to hear about Jesus because it is good news.
Yes, it is.
If you put your faith and trust in Christ as that His sacrifice was sufficient to cover your sin, you get to live with Him eternally. And we don't want people to go to hell. We don't want that. And so people with good intentions want to evangelize and make disciples, which are two different things, but still.
Mm-hmm.
So there was somebody at Christianity Today who talked about their Walmart strategy when they were in college. It was like they just went to Walmart and asked to pray for people, but they were really hoping that their really good prayer that included evangeli types things would motivate the person to go, amen, tell me more about that Jesus guy. But she wondered whether they was a total failure. I mean, nobody wanted to be prayed for, almost never. Was it just not even evangelism at all? You guys are saying, no, not evangelism. It's like bait and switch.
I mean, it's not evangelism. I just don't think it's effective evangelism.
So she went on to ask, I wonder if all this talk might count as a kind of evangelism. Look, she's trying to figure out, what is evangelism? And how do you do it? If walking up to a stranger and having a spiritual conversation of any sort, is that evangelism? The cold call. Excuse me, I see that you're reaching for a can of red beans. Do you have a moment to talk about Jesus? Is that evangelism?
It could be.
Is it good evangelism?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, I think it is evangelism. I think evangelism is any time you're attempting to share the gospel, convert someone to Christianity, but I do think there are effective and ineffective ways to do it.
Yeah, and see, Ron and I have talked about this for so many years. There would be people that would say to you, wrong, Daria. Whatever the method is, if one person gets saved in all of human history from that method, it's worth it.
Okay, but certain methods are more likely to actually welcome people into the fold, and others are more likely to ensure that whoever you're encountering never wants anything to do with a Christian ever again.
Yeah, so, I mean, is that Walmart strategy counterproductive in some measure?
I think it could be, and I don't want it to sound like I'm railing against these college students because they were young, they were doing it for a school assignment, and I think it's great that they're introspective enough to now go, wait, maybe that wasn't the best method.
Yeah, and she ends up saying she went on to go to a secular PhD program where she learned to be a writer. And she kind of gave up on that aggressive strategy and the random strategy. And at the end of the day, she used a lot of her writing to talk about her faith experiences. And she found, much to her surprise, that people were willing to talk about the Christian faith in response to her excellent writing. That she included talking about the Christian faith. But keep in mind, it took months of really great writing and interaction and trust building for that.
Right. And 1% of the people who read her words came back to her, maybe less. I think maybe her evangelism she felt was a failure because her goal, perceived goal, was too high. But she's sowing the seeds, and she doesn't know what soil is out there. As farmers, we've got the advantage of seeing when it's rocky soil or when it's shallow. But according to the parable, he's out there just sowing the seed, and that's what she's doing. She can't see if the person's life experiences has made them a hard soil, a soft soil, a fertile soil.
Yeah, one professor told her, I'm not interested in talking about Christianity, but I do like your stories.
Wow.
Why does that get you excited?
Because even though he's pretending he's hostile or he thinks he's hostile, she has an in here. He's intrigued. She has a very special position where if she plays her cards right and isn't too forceful, she could really make an impact. And maybe it's not going to be her. It probably won't be her, but maybe down the line, someone else will be able to really reach into this man's life and really share the gospel because of his interaction with her. He's going to remember that.
Yeah, and she even went on to juxtapose, as she was discovering all this, she said, the Gideons came to her college. I love the Gideons. They put the Bibles in hotels and passed out New Testaments. I got one in college. She said, they stood in high-traffic sidewalks and passed out pocket-sized New Testaments. I accepted one as a small act of solidarity, despite having 6 Bibles at home, and then retreated to a nearby academic building to watch from a window. I winced when students waved them off, glared, or accepted a pocket New Testament only to throw it in a trash can at the corner. I watched many New Testaments topple into the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Someone texted in, I believe we should use every tool in our arsenal to introduce Jesus to the non-believer. A seed sometimes is all it takes. Prayer might be that seed. And I agree that prayer might be the seed. So I'm totally fine with you standing in the Walmart asking people if they need prayer. I don't like the other side of I'm just using this to evangelize to you.
Mm-hmm. Why? What's the big deal, somebody might say? Who cares if it's... Because as long as it's true that you genuinely are praying for whatever their need is, sneaking in some Jesus language and evangelism language, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
I just think that your motives are not honest.
So the heart matters, as Jesus talked about so often.
Yeah. And someone did text in and said there's no difference between what Lauren did at the restaurant and the Walmart evangelizer. Did Lauren do it because it was a school assignment or a genuine love for others? I did it because it was a school assignment. That is not how I choose to evangelize to people. That's not my choice. That was my professor's choice. I had to do it for a grade.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it wasn't out of a genuine love for others. So you're correct. It's the same. But that's not my choice. If I was a professor of that class, that's not how I would ask my students to evangelize to people.
And I would say I disagree with even the sentiment of there's no difference between what you did and the Walmart thing. I think there's a seismic difference, like
I
each
think
side
that
of an ocean difference.
They're saying the motive is I went there for a semester's worth of time every week to get to know people. To
in
then
terms
evangelize.
of the heart.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's what they meant, I can see that point.
Yeah. But again, I can't change what someone else that I'm at school for is asking me to do. I am now 11 years out of school, and that's not my choice. That's not how I would choose to evangelize. It's not what I do in my personal daily walk of how I choose to evangelize to people. And that's why I'm saying what happened with the Walmart is not how I think we should go about it.
And this has to do with wisdom.
Perhaps.
Yeah, and I remember this a couple of years ago. You guys probably remember this. One of my daughters was in the hospital. As we were leaving, there was somebody with a bullhorn and a big sandwich board sign.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, bullhorn evangelizing a bunch of college students. And I just wondered aloud whether that was a very effective strategy. And I was raked over proverbial coals for that question. And I think that's what this person in this piece here from Christianity Today was asking themselves. I'm doing this. Is this wise and helpful? And is the storyline I'm telling myself that I'm being persecuted when people walk away really true? Or is it just what I'm telling myself? And they learned that maybe it's more effective to play the long game.
Right.
Not that the Lord can't use a stranger encounter. He could. But perhaps it's more worth our time to not try forcing a stranger encounter, but allow the Holy Spirit to work in our relationships we're already building.
Yeah, and I think the stranger encounters, you have to be in tune with the Spirit to know if He's calling you to something. If there is somebody at Walmart and He's telling you that person needs prayer, or that person needs to hear from me via you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be in tune with the Spirit to know what He's calling you to.
And I'm wondering about the whole seed planting thing as well before we shut this down. So let's just say you're using the Walmart strategy and you're asking for prayer, and 9 people are visibly irritated with you. 1 person accepts the prayer. Have you planted 9 bad seeds?
I don't think so.
So it's not counterproductive.
No, because that person could leave Walmart and realize that, hey, maybe I should have treated someone a little bit kinder at Walmart today.
Oh.
Or they get several months down the road and something happens to them and they're on a spiritual journey and they're like, I remember that person was trying to pray for me at Walmart.
So you wouldn't go as far as to say it's counterproductive to do that?
Because the way she described it was they were 2 college, so younger females coming up kindly with smiles approaching. So you wouldn't be viewed as a jerk. Bullhorn guy in the quad of college
right.
is coming off as a jerk. He won't talk to anybody. He's just busy shouting. But if you're kind in your approach, the most you're likely to get negative would be that they laugh it off. They get home and tell their husband or wife, "Oh, you should have seen these Jesus freaks at the Walmart.
A bunch of fundies at the Walmart today." Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Perhaps this will come up tomorrow on a follow-up Friday, but for now, it's time for Ron's News on Mornings with Brian on WCRF. After that, one of our favorites, it's been a while, Pastor Keon Abner will join us.
It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studio. Whether it's your faith or your health, you don't have to journey alone. WCRF, Cleveland. WVMS, Sandusky. WVML, Millersburg. WVMN, Newcastle. WVME, Meadville. WVMU, Ashtabula. And with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Israeli ground troops are back in Gaza. It's 7:03 with Ron Eastwood. I'm Ron Eastwood with Moody Radio News. There we go. This comes a day after Israel broke a 2-month ceasefire with extensive airstrikes that have killed hundreds. Israeli Defense Forces said a targeted ground operation was focusing on the central and southern Gaza Strip. The Ohio House passed an amended version of Senate Bill 1 yesterday. The legislation would prohibit diversity, equity, and inclusion practices for institutions of higher learning and would ban strikes among faculty members. And Ohio officials are asking residents to abide by the state's spring burn ban. It's put in place annually during the months of March, April, and May from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources says spring is prime time for wildfires because of an abundance of dry grass, weeds, and leaves on the ground. In sports, the Cavaliers bowed to the Kings 123-119. And our Moody Radio forecast calling for a chance of showers this morning, but showers becoming more likely this afternoon, and it'll be much cooler with our highs in the lower 50s. At last check, the rain has pretty much left our area. Cloudy skies now in Cleveland, 52 degrees. We do have rain in Akron and Canton, 50 degrees. Laren and Lyria, mostly cloudy and 51.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
The spring equinox, also known as the vernal equinox, is one of the 4 solar marking posts of the year. The equinox, which translates roughly to equal night in Latin, is when the sun sits vertically above the equator, making day and night equal across the planet. The spring equinox officially marks the beginning of spring in the Northern Hemisphere, and it is a brilliant time for new beginnings, like the flowers we see popping up in our beds. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:05 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3.
is WCRF, Mornings with Brian. Thanks to everybody who participated in our share campaign. Not too late to give, 800-600-9624, moodyradio.org. I'm going to try not to get a little sentimental here because I feel like it's been a long time since we've hung out with one of our favorite pastors in town. Maybe he's like playing hard to get to be my friend or something. I don't know. But he is pastor of Bridge City Church, Pastor Keon Abner. Welcome back, my friend.
What's up, homie? Good to see you. Well, it's good to be with you.
It's so good to talk to you. How you been?
I've been good. Been good. Just ministry is fun. It keeps you busy, and but things have been good. I think my family's grown since the last time we talked, and all that good stuff. Yeah.
So, how many kids now?
I have three daughters now.
Oh, God bless you. 3 daughters. I have 2, and it was just more than I could handle.
The Lord is like, I want you to get really familiar with me over these next 18 years. I want you to depend on me for everything.
Yeah, little girls are the cutest thing ever. Sorry, go ahead.
Prayers I used to pray.
Oh, okay.
And like, Lord, I want to be close to you. I want to depend on you. And he's like, I got you.
Yeah, they're cute now, brother. Teenage girls. It's a thing.
I used to be an educator, so I'm all right, here we go. I've seen this movie before.
Okay, so that's not quite why we're chatting with you today. I'm so glad to have you back. One of the things you've done in your church, I think, that is admirable and rare is that your church is truly multi-ethnic. Can you give us kind of a picture of what that looks like on a Sunday for you?
Yeah, I mean, so for us at Bridge City, we we're predominantly African American and white, but generally speaking, on any given Sunday, there is a number of folks from Asian descent to African and Latino refugee to Black, white, and then it's multi-generational. So we've got all the ages together as well, which is a really cool thing that we've tried intentionally to make sure that we've got a lot of folks in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, a lot of folks in their 40s, 30s, and 20s. And we intentionally do things like fellowship groups, small groups, and events mix generations, because we didn't want to be a church full of, like, I'm 30. And so my goal was not like to have a church full of 30-year-olds. It was to make sure that the generations before us, that we could minister and disciple one another. And it's been beautiful. We had a marriage event last weekend, and at the marriage event, we had couples that are dating, engaged, couples that have been married for a year, and couples that have been married for 50 years, 54 years. Up to 54 years together, praying with one another, pouring into one another, sharing stories. So that's Bridge City. It's not easy. It takes a lot of deep intentionality, but that's who we are. It's we were thinking multi-ethnic, Black, white, and it's like, oh no, the nations have come.
Yeah, and see, I think a lot of churches want to do that. I mean, I was a part of a church in the city of Minneapolis that it was a lot of white people that came. This church was very old, and we would drive in from surrounding areas to the church, and we really wanted our church to be reflective of the neighborhood, and we said that, but it never was. It's like, we want the neighborhood to come here, and they didn't. So we were trying to be intentional. What are you doing that's making it actually work?
It's a good question. I think number one, we don't shy away from the fact that we're multi-ethnic. So we talk a lot about what that means. Every leadership board in our church, so we're Presbyterian, so we have a session, those are the elders, that has our diversity reflected in it. We have a ministry leadership team that has the diversity reflected. We have a staff, the diversity is reflected there. So number one, the identity of the leadership of the church reflects that multi-ethnicity in the congregation. So it's not like And, generally speaking, in America, what normally means, what has meant multi-ethnic in the past 20 years is there's a white church with predominantly white people, but there's a few pieces of color around the congregation. And in that, we're multi-ethnic. And don't get me wrong, I've done the same thing as a black pastor. It's like I see one white person, like, oh, we're diverse, okay? we've done it. We've hit the mark. But what I realized pastoring over the past 5 years is you got to answer some hard questions. Elections are difficult. Telling jokes are difficult because not everybody was raised in the same household. Preaching into a congregation where there is no majority requires deep intentionality relationships. So I think what we're doing is we're trying to listen well. We encourage our congregation to prayer walk, eat, play, work, rest, and even move to the neighborhood that we're in. And we prioritize things that make us place-based versus, like you said, coming into a neighborhood and forcing that neighborhood to assimilate to your values.
That's right.
Versus seeking the good of that neighborhood and allowing there to be some real alignment between what the neighborhood actually values and what you, like, here's a perfect example of this. It's not our church. There's a church in Texas in a neighborhood where the church was built during a time people walked to church. Now the church has well over 2,000 members. And you can imagine a church that doesn't have a suitable parking lot in a neighborhood that has 2,000 people showing up on a Sunday is pretty problematic for neighbors.
Yes.
And parking and all that kind of stuff. So their church did a huge campaign to build an underground parking lot so that the members of the church could have a place to park, like a garage underground, but they're not hurting the opportunity to be good neighbors by blocking up all the parking and blocking up all the streets. Wow. What the church did was they said, instead of tearing down property to expand our kingdom, we'll be good neighbors by trying to do the harder thing, which is go underground, excavate, and build a full parking garage so that we can be better neighbors. So that's just an example of like what I think our church has tried to do is we've tried to be good neighbors.
That's such a good example, too, because the church I was a part of, again, it was built when people walked to church. We just filled the neighborhood with cars. Oh, we were so rude. Didn't even know it.
It's like, I'm coming to Jesus. Look at all these parking. Look at all these chairs. We're just coming to see Jesus. And it's like, meanwhile, the neighbors are like, this is awesome. I can't get out until you're done with church.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, we did exactly what you said as well. It was like, we're going to have our culture be suburban white, and we'd like you to come in and be part of that. We're not going to stop being this. We're going to tell our jokes. We're going to have our music, and you should like it. Okay, come on in, and that's going to have an impact. It sounds like you're saying.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that the spirit isn't like deceitful in that way. It's not like trying to be assimilative. What it is you thought your culture was awesome and everyone should like it. Like, oh no, our band is great. Like, you're gonna like it. But what with listening over time, you start to figure out what the needs of people are. Like, just one more thing is, like, for us, when we open the church, we're in the most dense Hispanic population in the city of Cleveland. The Clark Fulton neighborhood has the densest Hispanic and Latinx population in the city of Cleveland. When we were planting, so many people asked us if we were going to have our services bilingual. Somebody asked if I was going to learn Spanish to be the church planter. And so I went to the Hispanic pastors in our neighborhood. Number one, got their blessing to plant the church. But number two, asked for their wisdom. And they all said, with all the Spanish churches in this neighborhood, no Latinx person is coming to your church expecting it to be bilingual. I mean, they literally were like, if you get a population of first, generation Spanish speakers or English as a second language folks, and you feel like it's hard to reach them, and they're coming and they want to be a part, that's a different story. But it doesn't make sense for you to just try to become Latinx so that you can attract. Like, again, they've got churches they can go to.
Yeah.
Essentially. And they're not going to be like, oh, this new black pastors in Cleveland and Clark Fulton, that's where I'm going to go, and hopefully they're going to have Spanish there. That's not how their expectations work.
When you put it that way, it sounds so obvious, though, I mean, it's like, yeah, nobody would say that.
Exactly. And it's like, but everybody had me convinced that, like, I had Rosetta Stone on my phone. I'm like, here we go. I'm about to preach in 2 languages.
That's so great. It's 7:20. This is Mornings with Brian at WCRF. Our friend and pastor of Bridge City Church, Pastor Keon Abner, with us. We're chatting about their success in being multi-ethnic and their journey to become that, and how and why they did it. We'll continue that discussion here in just a minute.
A lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But what if you could get both? Why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. And we know this from research of members. There's a lot they like about MediShare, but especially they love being part of something they believe in. And MediShare works, too. It has for more than 30 years. There are hundreds of thousands of members who love having telehealth if they need it. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or you're part of the gig economy or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
Today, there is a disciple-making church planting movement that's taken root in 40 countries around the world. It's called the Timothy Initiative, and its mission is to see a healthy church planted in every village, everywhere. Since 2007, over 200,000 churches have been planted through the work of the Timothy Initiative, but there's more work to be done. Take your place in the Timothy Initiative. Go to ttiglobal.org.
Hey, I'm Brant Hansen, and it's obviously great to do nice things for people. That's what a lot of missions do, and some hope that someone will ask about Jesus. But this is what I love about Cure International Children's Hospitals. Not only are kids healed, Cure shares the gospel openly and clearly with everyone. It's what they do. It's exactly what Jesus told us to do, proclaim the kingdom and heal the sick. Find out more about Cure and what God is doing in the world. It is a beautiful thing. Cure.org/Moody. Cure.org/Moody.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
With us, one of our favorites, Pastor Keon Abner. He's pastor at Bridge City Church. We're chatting about their church's journey to be truly multi-ethnic. It's been so insightful. One of the things you said that might surprise people is that you said you have to be so intentional, even with something like jokes. Okay, so what do you mean? Like, what do you mean intentional about what jokes you tell? Pastor?
For me, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you now. Sorry.
For me, there are jokes that if you make them in the family, that I grew up in, everybody gets them. There are jokes that when I'm at Bay Prayers, I'll be like, okay, so you all don't get that joke. So that, when we talk about that, even in the congregation, like I've made jokes and I'm like, okay, so I think that only pertains to about 40% of you. The other 60%, and so we talk about that, but it's just like there are just little things like what we don't realize is that, and this is the thing about racial reconciliation or ethnic differences, is that what society in America has done to us is it's propagated us to learn about each other on TV. So you learn about the different races by the stereotypes that show up on television. And that's not a good way to understand the culture of people. And so when you get in community with those people and you start communicating, sometimes you don't even know how to talk. You don't know what to talk about because the world sometimes are so different. So what I love about Bridge City, so I'm going to be clear, being multi-ethnic isn't our main thing. Being a Christ-centered, gospel-centered, Bible-believing church is our main thing. And in that, there are multi-ethnic implications. But what I found is the greatest unifier is the gospel. And being able to preach the gospel to a diverse community, what we find commonality in is our desperate, dependent need for Jesus. Now, what that looks like socially is completely different based on where you come from. And so that's where the nuance is required. It's not in how the gospel is preached as much as it's how it's applied.
Yeah, I love how you phrase that.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that I think perhaps one of the greater weaknesses in understanding this comes from people who look like me. And if you didn't know, I'm white, by the way.
That's such a disappointment, bro. This whole time.
But no, my wife and I, it's a longer story for a different day, but we were members of an African-American church in Chicago for 6 or 7 years. And I didn't understand cultural differences until I was in there, and I didn't understand jokes. I didn't know what was going on. The most embarrassing one was people were talking one day. It was during the Obama administration, and someone was like, "Oh, I think the First Lady's coming today." We overheard them say. My wife and I were like, "Oh my goodness, Michelle Obama is coming to our church. I wonder why. This is so exciting."
Awesome.
Turns out it's the pastor's wife. We didn't know she's called the First Lady. Then we had a day that there was a white party that was happening, and we're like, "Ooh, maybe we'll be invited."
That is awesome.
Oh, there's so many times. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a pastor friend of mine, a white pastor, whom we were invited to an all-white party, and he didn't understand that meant like wear a white outfit.
Oh, I didn't know.
Not a costume, but like go and get a white shirt, some white pants, some white shoes, and look nice. He wore his white clergy robe to the party. He was like, "I have a white robe. I'll wear that." And I'm like, "No, you don't. That's not what we do." But that's an example. Like one of our pastors, Pastor Jack, he's a biker. He rides bikes, and everyone knows that. Like I don't. When I preach, I don't use analogies about being in the wilderness or camping or being outdoors. You know, I don't know the rules of you see a bear, if it's brown, lay down, if it's black, lay back. Like my philosophy is if there's a bear, I'm not there. So when he uses his analogies and he's talking about being in the forest and in the wilderness, that's a place that I refuse to go.
Me too.
So we when we talk, you know, the nuance of all of that is real cool. But like one time, I was in a car accident with a biker, and the biker was talking about how expensive his bike was. So I got back to the church, and I'm just telling them that I had this traumatic experience where this guy on a bike basically rode in front of my car practically on the freeway. I never experienced this before in my life. And I said, he said his bike was $5,000. And Jack said, did it have a carbon frame on it? I'm like, why would you ask me that? You know I have no clue.
Yeah,
You're a biker, you know, but that's an example of like some of the nuance. And in relationship, that stuff is safe to joke about it. But like, you don't have that relationship. You don't always have the privilege to make those jokes. But like the nuance is there, you know, there's some differences.
Oh man, we had a guest preacher at the church once, and he talked about, let's just say his name was Jack Johnson, okay? And he goes, yeah, and I was preaching, and there was a white family then that came up and said, hello, Pastor Jack, and everybody started laughing. And I was looking around like, what, was that a joke? Was that funny? I didn't understand the cultural context if you don't call a pastor by his first name. And so there were so many things I discovered. I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, this isn't just an idea of if you want to be multi-ethnic, you just say, come on in. You have to be so intentional. It's a lot of hard work. But the question is it worth it, right? Because somebody might go, I don't know if I want to deal with all that. Is it worth it?
Revelation 7:9 tells us that rather we do the work intentionally or not, the result is us all together around one throne, wearing the same uniform, singing the same song. So clearly, this is the outcome of a completed gospel work on earth. So what we like to commit ourselves to is that it's hard. I want to be very clear that elections, like I said, elections are hard. Helping people sort through racial differences, helping people work through the hard stuff, unconscious bias, how to teach people, because we didn't want to be a shallow church where we all came to church together. But it's like I tell people all the time, my pride and joy, because I've got 3 young children, so I get invited to a lot of birthday parties with people at the church. My pride and joy is seeing people who would not be together any other way if it wasn't for them belonging to this community. And outside of the church, when I'm showing up to housewarmings and I walk in and I'm seeing members of my church, again, who never would be together, but they're having the time of their lives because they've been building relationships outside of church and doing the hard work of going, what is it about your story that I don't know? As opposed to making them defend their story, just, hey, what is your story? Yeah. And so I think there's a number of things like that. But I would say, yes, it's 100% worth it. It is a joy. It is a joy to see it happen. Our church, we have the chairs physically around the Lord's table because we remind ourselves that Christ, his presence made real in the sacraments, is our main purpose of gathering. And so we it does help that we try to be as bibliocentric as we possibly can and as Christ-centered as we are because, again, that's the unifying factor. I've seen churches make multi-ethnic ministry more of an important thing than Jesus. And that's an idol. Yeah. Jesus is our main thing, but we recognize that the implications of what we read in Acts, the implications of Ephesians 2, the implications of Revelation 7:9, it's clear that this isn't our idea, it's his.
Wow. Pastor, it's beautiful, and I can see clearly why it works for you. And I hope it inspires others to consider that road because I think it makes you fall in love with Jesus more deeply and understand the church more deeply. Again, Pastor Keon Abner has been our guest. He's pastor at Bridge City Church. Tell people how to come visit you because I bet you got a lot of people going, where's this guy? I want to go see this church.
Yeah, well, Bridge City Church is located just west of downtown. It's in a neighborhood called Clark Fulton, and our address is 3381 Fulton Road, Cleveland, Ohio. Beginning on Easter, we will have 2 morning services, 9 and 11. Until then, we have an 11 o'clock gathering that meets weekly. We are, like I said, we're just trying to figure it out. We've been trusting Jesus. We try to avoid any gimmicks, any games. We trust Jesus. Our mission is partnering in the restoring grace of Jesus Christ. And by God's grace, when we're done, that'll be the picture we've created. And what I tell my church all the time is, whether you get it or not, clearly the outcome is us unified. So you can either get it on this side of heaven or you'll be forced on the other side.
Love it. Can't wait to have you back again soon, my friend. God bless you and your ministry. Hope you get some visitors this weekend.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Brian. Good to talk to you, man. And anytime we can talk about that whole being white thing, I'll be glad to make some space for you.
And if you have a white party, I'll know what to do.
That's right.
God bless you, man. We'll talk soon. Oh, boy. I actually made a friend of ours laugh really hard when I said, so can I just take off my shirt and show up? White party?
Oh.
she
That's
just
terrific.
I know, it's like, because you just pictured it, so now you're really disturbed, but she just was
say
like,
sorry to everybody who's listening right now.
I mean, again, there's a whole lot of white people still don't get what a white party is.
Yeah.
You just
That's
wear all
okay.
white. You just get together, have fun, wear all white.
Yeah.
I was like, it's where you invite white people. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come up, something truly mortifying. Seriously, we'll talk about mortification.
Moody Radio was
Streamlined MDiv program, now just 72 credit hours. With flexible learning options, on campus, online, or both, tailor your journey to fit your life. Prepare for transformative Christian ministry faster than ever. Start your path to purpose today at moody.edu/MDiv. Moody Theological Seminary, where faith meets your future.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Whether it's your faith or your health, you don't have to journey alone. And by the way, David Szfranski will be with us, Lord willing, in person at 8 o'clock to answer your financial questions.
As far as I know, he doesn't share much about what he's doing.
He likes to try to be mysterious, even though he's quite predictable.
Yeah.
He likes to try. So you can text in your questions right now to get in line. I'd highly encourage it. 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. We're going to talk about an old-timey Christian word called mortification here in just a minute. Before we get there, I have to laugh at myself on something.
Good.
That's your favorite. So we had little treats for our share campaign because we were here so much. And
Yes.
our station manager has a habit of like throwing things out and not
Yeah,
following
he just
directions.
doesn't want it in the box anymore, in the freezer. He wants to take, if it's a breakfast sandwich, take all the sandwiches out, put those in the freezer, get rid of the box.
Because he's
It
like,
takes up less room.
he's fancy free, you know? He's what is the phrase, Ron? Something
Footloose and fancy free.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's like, you know, you're supposed to take it out of the wrapper. No, he's going to leave it in. He doesn't. How long are you supposed to cook it? He doesn't care. He's just going to go for it.
He just puts it in the microwave. Yeah.
And I admire that. I bring it up and I poke because I admire it, because I am a rule follower.
Yeah.
See, I don't admire the fact that he's microwaving his burritos in the plastic package.
Yeah.
You admire the idea of it, Brian, not necessarily the plastic of it all.
We were trying to convince him, like, dude, you're not supposed to do this. And he fought us for a week until he finally tried it. He's like, actually, it tastes less plasticky. I'm like, I wonder why.
Yeah, because you're not melting plastic into your burrito.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could wing it more in life. It's not how I'm wired. And so I went in our little kitchen here at the station, and there were some frozen breakfast sandwiches. And I was like, boy, those look delicious. Too bad the box is gone. I can't make this.
The instructions are on the fridge.
See, I didn't know that. And then you asked me a question.
Brian came in here and he said, well, too bad Josh threw away the box. I can't make a sandwich. And I said, you can't make a sandwich without the directions?
No, I cannot.
I saved the directions there, right there on the freezer with the magnets.
And that's what I said. I said,
right there.
First of all, they're on the freezer. You had to look at them to open the freezer to see the sandwich.
I'm a man. I don't look at things.
Second of all, if you really want a sandwich, it doesn't matter what the directions are. Just kind of, okay, take out the plastic. Let me try a minute and a half.
I'm sorry. I'm a rule follower.
If you want it to stay moist, wet paper towel.
Yes, that's the trick.
Do you know what, here's how bad of a rule follower I am. I had a cousin of mine just laugh so hard. She was a food blogger for a long time. I'm the guy that measures out 6 cups of water for a box of mac and cheese. I thought that was an essential part, that you get the right amount of water in the pot. Meanwhile, I learned, much to my surprise, most of the world just puts water in there because it's pasta.
And you're going to drain it off anyway.
Yeah, you don't use the water, but I was like,
as long as you have enough, you can't have not enough.
And I'm the guy who would go, did I lose? Was that 6 or was that 5? I don't know. I'm going to dump it all out and start over.
Oh my gosh.
That's how much of a rule follower I am. I mean, when we first
do you do that for like regular pasta? Like if it says 4 to 6 quarts of water?
No, because I don't know what a quart. Quarts? I don't
so
know.
you just fill up the pot.
Yeah.
Making that you're measuring by quarts.
I don't know. That's what it says on the box.
Yeah, I've relaxed a bit on my pasta making, but still, I mean, when we first got married, we got a grill for one of our gifts. And I sat on that front step and I was like reading the introduction to the instructions. I was like, tell me the rules.
Welcome to your new grill.
And Sarah came outside and was kind of like, what are you doing? She just put it together. And I got so mad. It was one of our first fights. Like, let me be a man with my grill, reading my directions.
Well, most men don't read the
I know they don't. It's just such a weird quality.
You just get out a hammer and start whacking at it.
But in my defense, it wouldn't be surprising if our station manager would have just thrown out the box.
No, he tried.
Oh,
I stopped him, which is why it's cut out on the fridge.
And it all makes sense now because he doesn't look at the directions, so he doesn't need them. So him throwing away the box didn't mean anything to him. But to everybody else who looks at how long you're supposed to heat it up, it was important.
Yeah.
What do you guys do with boxes of things like that at home? Do you keep the box for the existence of all of them? So you have one thing left in a giant box?
Yeah, I do. It's very frustrating.
So do we. Because I don't want to take the time to, I'm sorry, Daria, but like, I'm going to cut out the instructions and put them on. We have too many things in the fridge. I'll have a giant box of corn dogs with one in it.
I'd rather have the box inside the freezer where I can't look at it rather than cardboard instructions cluttering my kitchen.
That is correct. Or if you're a station manager, again, a lot more relaxing in life. Who needs directions?
Yeah, he's just going off vibes. Throw it in, put it on.
Plastic and all.
Yeah.
To what extent are you guys going with the vibes in life and not the directions?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
What?
I'm a rule follower.
Are you?
Yes.
Even in the kitchen, you're following the recipes to a T.
I mean, not to... like for how much water to put in for making pasta.
That's so
I just fill it up to make sure there's enough to cover the pasta.
Right. Yeah, and see, my wife is a lot more like our station manager where she was like, well, we should have chili for dinner. She goes, I'll just leave everything out and you can make it. I go, well, I need a recipe. She's like, I don't have one. I just make chili.
No, you don't. Not for chili. You just dump.
Yeah, put it all in there.
And I was like, I'm sorry. I can't do that. I need a recipe. So she ended up having to make it. I don't know.
And how did she make it? She dumped it in the pot.
I just dumped stuff in there, but there's also spices that go in, and I don't.
Right. Just eyeball it.
Do you put the whole thing of salt in there? You're dumping.
Right, Ron, you understand what I'm saying.
I get you.
Give me a recipe, okay? But
this is why you smell and taste as you go, so you know that the spices are balanced.
well, but if you taste and go, oh, I put the whole thing of salt. This is too salty.
No, you err
can't
on the
fix that.
you err on the side of too little salt. You taste it and go, this needs a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more.
Your improvisation has rules, Daria. And why don't we just start with the rules?
No. Cooking, you add stuff. It's fine.
I start with following the rules, and then once I'm, comfortable with the recipe, if it's one you make often, and then I start just kind of winging it. Like, this is enough chili pepper.
When I move somewhere, I use GPS directions for far too long. Like, I'm just like, I know where I'm going, but I'm just going to be sure I'm following the directions correctly, Yeah. It's a problem. I wish I didn't do this.
It took me a while to figure out how to get to work when we first moved here. And it's a straight shot, so it's kind of embarrassing, but it took a while. I'm a bit directionally challenged.
Okay, so I'm not totally crazy, but I mean, how do I break out of this? How do I wing it more?
Oh, I don't think that's the thing that you're going to
do. You don't?
No.
You're a lost cause.
Yeah, just settle in.
I wing it a little bit.
No.
Not really.
Look at me. It's Brian. Winging it Dolan right here. That's what they call me.
What is this thing you're doing with your arms?
I'm winging it with my arms. You're going to put this on the internet now.
That's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
It already is on the internet.
You really don't think I can wing it?
No, I think you just need to kind of settle into who you are. You're not a winging it kind of guy.
Was that okay?
You get real frazzled.
There's
if
nothing wrong with
a little off kilter.
There's nothing wrong with you being who you are.
Yeah.
Just lean into your eccentricities.
It's eccentric to follow rules. I feel like it's eccentric to not
The
follow
way you
rules.
do it is eccentric.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to measure out 6 cups
Yeah.
of water for boxed mac and cheese.
Kraft. Fake cheese.
Guilty as charged.
Please, heaven forbid, my fake cheese is just right. Powdered cheese.
I need a minute to get my directions organized here, and I'll be right back, and we'll truly talk about mortification. It'll be worth it, trust me.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from businesses across the country, like Fellowship Home Loans. Whether purchasing or refinancing a home, Mike and Brian walk hand in hand with clients through the whole process. You can learn more about their approach to mortgage lending at fellowshiphomeloans.com.
The Music of Praise and Worship channel can fill your spring days with lyrics that connect seasonal renewal to spiritual rebirth. As flowers bloom, these songs remind us that the same God who restores creation is working in our hearts.
My promise and is you.
The Praise and Worship channel online at praiseandworship.org or in the Moody Radio app, a ministry of Moody Radio.
Moody Radio is on the air thanks to support of listeners and Pinnacle Peak Pictures.
There's no greater love.
From Pinnacle Peak Pictures comes The Last Supper, coming to theaters starting March 14th. A biblical journey that brings to life the ultimate act of love and sacrifice as seen through the eyes of those who walked alongside Jesus. The Last Supper, rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters starting March 14th.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ, one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Jonathan McReynolds, it's 7:51. Dave Szfranski, I believe, is in the building.
He's in the building.
So get your financial questions in, 440-546-2255. We'll get to this churchy word here in just a minute, mortification, but I can't resist. Laren shared with us on the break, her husband just got back from a long trip for work.
Yes.
He's working for a living, that husband of yours.
Yeah, he was gone for 10 days. So
that's a lot.
It's a little long, yeah.
And yesterday you had to do something he normally does.
Yeah, I had to do it twice while he was gone. Take out the trash.
Yeah.
To the curb.
It's generally a man's job. I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
But it's generally a man's job. I take out the trash.
It's outside the house.
Right.
That's the rule.
It seems to be, you know.
And look at you, a millennial falling into the archetypes of husband and wife.
Yes, so I had to take out the trash. It's fine. But the problem is, again, I was alone. So I have to take the children with me outside. They're too young to leave inside alone.
And they're 4 and...
a year and a half.
Yeah.
And so my youngest, he's a year and a half, would like to sprint into the street.
Ooh. That's a typical 1.5-year-old favorite, yeah?
Yeah, and we live on a pretty busy street and a fast street. Shouldn't be fast, but people drive it fast.
Right.
And so very cautious about what's happening in the front yard at all times. And so I was like, how am I going to do this? And our street's kind of like our driveway's kind of like a little bit of a downward. And so I was like, okay.
And you'd look silly if you had like, pulling a stroller backwards and a trash can forwards. You'd look pretty weird.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm going to put the year and a half old in a stroller.
Okay.
And make the 4-year-old push him.
So he's got his hands like straight up.
Yeah. Exactly. So because the 4-year-old, he knows, okay, stop right here. He's going to listen. He will stop and watch. And then I took the 2 trash cans and recycling can to the curb while they followed behind in the stroller.
And then this is a very Laren thing to do, and I'm glad you're going to reveal this because people don't know this about you. You sound all buttoned up.
Wait, which part?
What were you doing on the walk back?
Oh, on the walk back. Yeah, on the walk back, I was singing to myself the Reba theme song.
Now, for those who aren't familiar, I know you'll share the lyrics with us. You won't sing it, but
a single mom who works real hard, who loves her kids and never stops. Because I spend 10 days doing my stuff by myself.
And so you're basically living out the Reba show.
Yeah, so I was Reba yesterday, taking out the trash.
Like, were you singing it audibly?
Yeah. Yes.
Like loud?
No, not loud. I mean, loud enough for my kids to hear.
I love that. But I also love, I think there's a sweetness to the fact that you're, like, a lot of people would just be angry doing that. And you're just not going to let it get to you.
I just sing a song to myself.
Yeah, you're like, what else am I going to do here? Just a single mom.
My husband's in Poland.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are kids.
That's so sweet. I
yes,
love it.
but my husband is back now. I believe there are Polish pottery treats for me, so it all works out.
But by the way, I know you wouldn't mind sharing this. I'm going to have you fill in it. People like, he went to Poland? What is he, sneaking into Ukraine to save some people? Or what's he doing?
No, so he was in London for a week, and then he went to Poland for 5 days or something after that. He works for Moody Publishers, and he does all international rights, which is if people want to take a Moody Publishers book and translate it into their language or a different language and then publish it for their audience. So he does all of those contracts and those negotiations and deals. So it is important for him to take international trips to go meet all these partners that are in Europe. It's easier for them all to meet in London than them all to come to the U.S.
Yeah, and it's a total nerd trip. He's not like going to the Tower of London and taking pictures or something.
No, yeah.
He's like sitting in a booth and talking about contracts.
Yes, he was sitting in a booth all day in London and then went to Poland and had meetings and stuff like that with other European partners.
Meanwhile, his wife Reba was like doing all the work.
Exactly.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, sure.
Laren. Now, I figured you of all people would be excited to talk about mortification.
Who wouldn't be?
Did you talk about this at Moody Bible Institute?
Probably.
It's an old-timey Christian word is what I'll call it.
Yeah.
But it's actually an ancient Christian word. Evangelicals do not talk about mortification. I found people who are mainline Protestants who have studied church history have lots of words I don't know. Mortification, though, is something that people talk about in context of Lent, which we're in the midst of right now. Somebody is nursing their coffee headache because they gave up coffee right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
sugar.
Yeah. Oh, boy. No, I'm not doing any of that. Mortification, though, is putting to death aspects of our lives to make room for God to grow the image of Christ in us. And mortification as well would be, it's like essentially willingly suffering to grow in your faith in Christ. That sounds weird, though, to a lot of Westerners. Willingly suffering.
Yeah, to kind of identify more with Christ in his suffering.
Yeah. And Russell Moore wrote an article about where he thinks that perhaps American evangelicals have an odd relationship with suffering. As in, we prepare for it as a future experience. We're like, watch out, it's coming. Persecution, buckle up. Those people over there in those other countries, they're going to jail and such. I'm going to get ready. And you know what? I'm ready. Let's go. Suffering's going to be here someday. But that's not how it's supposed to be. He says suffering is not an aspect of Christianity we tend to discuss, much less something we see as needing to be taken up on purpose. But he actually says that perhaps we're ignoring the fact that suffering is ordinary and that it's good for us. Do you think he's right in his theory on Americans kind of shunning suffering and avoiding it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to suffer.
I mean, I don't want to
feel
suffer.
good.
It's way easier for us to avoid suffering than probably any people that have ever existed since the dawn of time, because we have so much. We are so comfortable.
And he's saying it's that we're getting the theology wrong, that suffering isn't something you might experience as a Christian or you should be ready for just in case it happens.
Yeah.
It's like an ordinary part of the Christian life.
Yes, you will experience suffering. You will.
Is ordinary too common of a word, though? Is suffering ordinary for the Christian? It should be almost commonplace?
Should it be, or is it?
Either.
I don't think it is, because we've so cushioned our lives to not feel any discomfort, at least in the United States. We've, surrounded ourselves so much with comfort and different buffers so that we don't have to suffer.
Yeah, and it's I think we're missing out. I think it keeps us from growing in relationship with Christ to experience the sufferings of Christ, so to speak. Not that we're going to be nailed to a cross, but I mean, I think even off the top of my head of the parable of the Good Samaritan, right? We don't know for certain, but the Good Samaritan spent a lot of money on that guy. He probably suffered for it. We don't know that he's wealthy, but he may have, I don't know, had to skip a meal in the ancient world or didn't get to do something he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And that's a form of suffering. Mm-hmm. Loving your neighbor, therefore, in its ordinary sense, may involve suffering?
At least self-sacrifice.
And is that a form of suffering, I guess, is the next question.
It could be. And I think the other problem with us missing, quote unquote, missing out on suffering is we don't look forward to heaven as much because life is too good.
Well said, Daria. Yeah, that's powerful. And I think this is what evangelicals lose when we shun church history. I think because of the Protestant Reformation, even though most people don't care about that or think about it very often, it created the culture in which we live today. And the Protestant Reformation was good in so many ways, but what it also did was jettison anything that has to do with church history prior to the Reformation. And so we got rid of things like mortification and sacraments, and we tended to just shun all of it. And now I think we've lost out on what it means to truly grow deep in faith with Christ. And so the idea of, willingly suffering during Lent, choosing to, deprive yourself or to suffer in some way, is not a weird thing that those other people do that claim they're Christians and you wonder about them. No, they actually may be doing something that you could use a lot of in your life. We could all use a good bit of mortification.
Oh, yeah.
It's your word of the day now.
Okay.
Try to sneak that in, Ron, to your next newscast. No?
Let me see. Where can I put it?
You think about that for a minute. Maybe we'll talk about this more tomorrow, but in just a few, we're going to have Dave Szfranski answering your financial questions. The thing is, though, of course, you'll have to actually ask them. Do you have any yet, Lauren?
Just one.
Just one. your odds of getting your question answered are pretty high right now. You would just have to text them in or call 440-546-2255. Again, 440-546-2255.
It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studio. Whether it's your faith or your health, you don't have to journey alone. WCRF, Cleveland. WVMS, Sandusky. WVML, Millersburg. WVMN, Newcastle. WVME, Meadville. WVMU, Ashtabula. And with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Greenpeace is being ordered to pay $660 million to a Texas company over its involvement in the Dakota pipeline protests. It's 8:02. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. A jury at a civil trial in North Dakota decided that the environmental group is liable for defamation and for orchestrating criminal behavior at the protests that were held nearly 10 years ago on the Standing Rock Reservation. The pipeline company Energy Transfer Partners successfully argued that Greenpeace incited people to protest by using a misinformation campaign. Video visitations are on hold for inmates at the Cuyahoga County Corrections Center. The center reports they are experiencing technical issues, and so those video visits are offline until further notice. Standard telephone and in-person visits remain available. And the Board of Trustees at Akron University say they need to close a budget gap in the next academic year. Trustees voted yesterday to set a $22 million target for that closure between cuts and increased revenues. In sports, the Cavaliers were mortified by the Kings 123-119. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. A chance of showers this morning. Showers becoming likely this afternoon. It'll be much cooler compared to recently, with our highs in the lower 50s. At last check, cloudy and 51 in Cleveland, 48 in Akron and Canton, 50 degrees in Youngstown.
It's time for your moron moment.
The spring equinox, also known as the vernal equinox, is one of 4 solar marking posts of the year. The equinox, which translates roughly in Latin to equal night, is when the sun sits vertically above the equator, making day and night equal across the planet. The spring equinox officially marks the beginning of spring in the Northern Hemisphere, and it is a brilliant time for new beginnings, like the flowers popping up in our beds. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:04. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ronnie.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
provided is not intended to replace professional advice for your specific situation.
He's back from the jungle. David Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, here to answer your financial questions on Mornings with Brian.
Yay!
Hey,
Welcome back.
It's great to be back. I brought some new opinions with me from the jungle,
Oh,
too.
I thought you were going to bring Brazilian
Nice.
treats.
I didn't bring you guys anything.
He has in the past.
I've yet to get a Brazilian treat from you.
Years ago, he got me a hammock.
Yeah, I got everybody hammocks.
A hand-woven hammock. We still use it. The kids love
Oh, I've
it.
sat in that before.
Yeah, they don't like to use it as a hammock. They like to use it as an amusement park ride.
Spin them around.
See how fast see if you can get someone
Yeah.
to tip out of it and things. Yeah, it's pretty
that's
sturdy,
great.
Dave.
I'm glad I could provide. That's
You're welcome.
nice.
Yeah, thank you. So David's here to answer those questions, assuming you have them. 440-546-2255. Let's go to Tiana in Cleveland. Tiana, what's your question for David? Tiana?
Hello, Tiana. Tiana is definitely not there.
That's okay. Next question. I am 57 and have never had a credit card. What's the best way to build my credit?
How do you make it?
Yeah, how
have you
do
ever
it?
bought anything on Amazon? I was actually shopping on Amazon from the Amazon.
How ironic.
How ironic, yeah. We have a Starlink on the boat that I took a couple years ago and left there. And just in case theirs didn't work, I took my Starlink Mini, which is like the size of a laptop.
So you brought two.
There was two there, and ours did have a slight problem for a little bit. And so I hooked up my Starlink Mini, and it runs off of two. You can run it off of two DeWalt drill batteries for 24 hours. You can plug it in too.
Wow.
This thing is you can have internet anywhere in the world. Probably next time I go to the International Space Station, I'm going to take my Starlink just in case. Because there'll definitely be clear sky there, right? There's no trees on the space station.
It'll be really easy.
Yeah, be easy. I wonder if they'll leave me there for 8 months.
It's amazing this guy had no credit card
No
for
credit
that
card.
many years. I don't know.
Well, I think the
lot
first
of
thing that I
cash.
would do is I would get a credit card. That's what I would do.
Is it hard, do you think, at
No,
57?
no,
to get
it's
one?
not. It's probably not going to be hard. The thing, your credit is based on several different factors. One is how long if you own a house or you paid rent or you had a car payment. So the longer you've done those things and been faithful with the payments, the better your credit score will be. Now, there is a component in there of income to debt load and things like that, but you could make fairly modest amounts of money and still have a really good credit score if you've been faithful with your bills. And so and we call that a thick credit file. So if you've had credit for a long time and you've used that credit, even though it's not a credit card, if you've done that for a long time, you have a thicker credit file, you're a really easy risk for a credit card company. We have some of the younger people we work with, like athletes, they'll have missed a light or an electricity bill payment in college. Their credit score is like 520 because they missed two bills. Because their file is so thin, anything that goes wrong in there has a massive impact. So I would start by getting a credit card. Get a MasterCard or a Visa or something like that. If you this is probably not a person who travels a lot because you need a credit card to travel most times. So I'm not going to say, well, look for the best air miles because I don't think they've ever flown either.
But there are perks available. I mean, if you're responsible with that credit card, you can get a whole bunch of benefits with points and such.
Yeah,
We've gotten free hotel stays and things like that.
Yeah. I just got a check from Costco because I used their gas card. And
You love Costco.
I do love Costco. When by the way, in the jungle, so we're in the jungle and we're with Slavic Full Gospel Church with these guys,
friends of our station.
When I don't use the word amazing a lot because not a lot amazes me, but this was amazing. These guys were great, and they brought three of them brought daughters. Two of them were minors. One was 19 years old. They were so bold for Jesus.
Love it.
They gave a testimony. One of the young ladies gave a testimony one day. 54 kids gave their life to Christ. 54 kids in the jungle gave their life to Christ.
Wow.
After this testimony, and many adults did too. The chief of the village said he was going to cry when we left.
Oh.
Well, I said to them, look, that's not unusual. A lot of people cry when I leave the room because they love me so much. So,
they're just so
don't
happy.
get too excited about yourself. Don't get too excited. But I love these guys. This is probably my favorite trip into the jungle because of who we were with, and the well got dug. It was successful. They have clean, fresh, crystal clear water. It was a great trip. It was,
and that's an amazing church. We've been there as a team, and it's
and they carry things. They carry very heavy things very far distances. So I really like them a lot.
And that's why I don't go with you.
Yes, right.
I can't get out of that possibly when I'm in the junk. Okay, what's next, Lauren?
We've paid cash for everything recently instead of taking out a loan, but now don't have much in savings. We have $9,700 left on a vehicle and 6% interest. Should we focus on saving more or accelerated debt than focus on a house?
Well, I have a very simple saying that I'd rather have some debt and some cash than no debt and no cash. So I think the thing about cash is it's kind of one size fits all. And it works really good in emergencies when nobody will offer you credit. So I don't want to go to zero cash to eliminate all my debt. So depending on the interest rate, the way that I look at debt is it's a tool that we use in lieu of cash if the price is right. So like right now to buy a house, it's more expensive to buy a house right now. It's not quite at your level of interest rate, Lauren, which is 29% mortgage rate.
700%, yeah.
Yeah, you picked. You didn't pick it.
I didn't pick
it. Picked you.
It picked you, yeah.
You'll get out of it someday, Lauren, I promise.
I'm actually blaming it on you.
We're getting closer because there was a Fed meeting yesterday in Chair Powell.
I saw this headline and I was going to ask you about it. Thank you.
Yeah, Chair Powell kept interest rates stable, but he used a word that I'm starting to believe that Chair Powell might be a moron. He might be a moron. He used the word transitory. I'm like, really? Did he just say that? Now, in the economics world, you guys are looking at me like, what's the big deal?
I like transit.
Tory. But that's what they were saying early in the Biden administration when everybody was saying, inflation is at like 10%. Headline. So that means some things are probably at 20%. And they're saying, well, it's transitory. Yeah, it's transitory. Okay. And then we made fun of him and everybody realized that they were wrong. And he used the word again yesterday. And so I think maybe he might not be as smart as we think he is.
So what is he trying to say when he says that?
He's trying to say that the tariff talk will cause a slight blip to the upside in the cost of some things. That's really what he's trying to say. And so in the Biden administration, when we knew inflation was coming at a breakneck pace, they're like, well, we're not going to raise rates into this. They basically gave the Biden administration a pass, which I think was wrong because then we got really high inflation. That's when eggs went up to, what did they go up to, Brian?
About $67.
A dozen? Yeah. Basically, there were people on the corner with trench coats like, hey, kid, you want to see an egg?
It's cheaper to buy a chicken now than it is to buy one egg, I think.
Yes. They're coming down in price a little bit. Gas prices have come down. Oil prices have come down, which in turn will bring food prices down because the oil prices are coming down. And that's kind of the tail that wags the dog. So if you could bring energy prices down, in essence, everything's going to come down around it eventually. It takes a little bit of time. It's like turning an aircraft carrier around. When they say, hey, point the aircraft carrier to the west, you've got 20 minutes before that happens. So this is a very complex economy. So as oil prices go down, as energy costs drop, you will see that filter through the entire economy and prices will get better. But what Chair Powell was trying to say is, well, all this talk does create a little price dislocation because like Canada doesn't know if those tariffs are really going to go into effect, so they got a plan for it. And so they're starting to raise prices. Canada, for one thing, their bacon is a lie, but aside from that, their bacon's a total lie. It's not
ham.
Bacon. Okay, just give it up.
Circle ham.
They have 37 million people in Canada, 80% of which live within 1 hour of the border. We're their biggest trading partner by far. They cannot afford a 50% tariff on anything. It will sink their economies, but they are preparing for it. They tariff milk that goes north from here, that goes to the border.
You did it.
I did it for you.
He tried really hard.
I did it for you.
He didn't say milk.
Yeah, that's so weird when you say that. Thank you, Dave.
Yes. I just didn't want to hear your junk. So
You heard it anyway.
270% is the tariff on milk. 270%.
Wow.
Free trade means we send stuff there and they send stuff here, and there's no tariff. You let the market decide. And until other countries are willing to do that, you're going to hear tariff talk. Now, I have a plan. I have a theory about this that it'll all be over by June, that Fed rate cuts will be here by June, that permanent tax cuts will be here by June, July, and you're going to have a second half of the year that's going to be bombastically good.
Okay, well, with that, we have a bombastically good break in front of us here. So let's get to it. We'll come back with more financial questions for Dave Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. 440-546-2255.
Take your ministry to the next level at Moody Theological Seminary. Our Doctor of Ministry program equips leaders like you to thrive in your calling. Choose from biblical preaching, executive leadership and ministerial management, Christian community, pastoral care and counseling, or interdisciplinary studies. Tailor your learning to your unique ministry needs. Options to study in Chicago, Michigan, or online. Visit moody.edu/dmin today to learn more. That's moody.edu/dmin.
I'm Mark Joe, president of Moody Bible Institute, and I want you to know how much we appreciate your commitment to sharing God's Word with us through Moody Radio. God is at work in lives throughout Moody Radio. It has been incredible to hear the emails of how much this has impacted so many lives. If you weren't able to join us, you still can by calling 800-600-9624 or going online to moodyradio.org.
In this world filled with distractions and temptations, what does it really mean to walk with God faithfully? Join Today in the Word and devotional author Dr. Ryan Cook for an important Bible study on the book of Deuteronomy called Walk in Obedience. Read about Moses' final days as he chooses wisdom, life, and obedience to God. Do you have the courage to walk in obedience? Join our study at todayintheword.org or download the Today in the Word app.
What's your name, little girl? What's your name?
Why did Dave choose the nickname Armando instead of a different one? Why didn't you choose like I don't know.
Leonardo.
Yeah. If you were to pick a name today, what would it be?
Armando.
What would I choose?
Yeah.
Colleen. It's not as normal as Lauren.
Okay,
Got
so
myself.
I'm going to assign a nickname.
Okay.
Because I don't like it.
It's
It
not-
doesn't serve the
Okay.
purpose.
Mhm.
Okay,
Sure.
the purpose is people look at me and say, Armando, I'm giving you Gertrude. Now, we're going to call you Gertie.
Yes. I love it.
Sick.
No, you should totally use that at a coffee shop. Will you?
No, I won't.
How about this? How about Boutros Boutros?
It's a real
That'd
person.
be a good one. It's a real person.
He was the head of the UN. Boutros Boutros Ghali.
Yes. Boutros Boutros.
No, that's okay.
It was
Lauren,
so
Lauren
good
Cuevas.
they named him twice.
No, that's okay.
Gertie, come on. What's the next
Please,
question?
just once. Hi, I'm Gertrude.
Would you just play ball? Would you just play ball?
She doesn't.
Oh my goodness.
Poor Eddie.
He's just fine. Okay. This is Tiana from Cleveland. She said, so
Oh.
sorry you couldn't hear me.
Sorry,
I wanted
Tiana.
to know if you had any resources for a community financial educator who wants to expand to teach or hold workshops on investing or estate planning. I'm looking not only for a material, but a certification to teach it. I'm currently able to teach about budgeting, savings, credit, and home ownership, but that's just part of the financial picture.
Yeah, I do have a great resource. It's called the American College, and you can take courses there that they're certified by the financial industry. They will allow you to get a designation in estate planning and trust planning and things like that. It takes some time, and there's a series of courses that you take there. They work for continuing education for my industry, but they're college level courses, so they're intense. Yes, it requires studying. So Brian is not going to take
I did
that
enough
course.
of that. I'm done.
Yeah. So that's where I would go. That's what I use to further my education. Very good. Very good. A lot of resources.
Okay.
Okay. I'm getting some inheritance. Would it be better to keep it all in a brokerage account and then using it for our children's college, or put some in their 529 now? They are 5 and 7.
Oh. Well, I think because you have a long time for college, the benefit of a 529 is in longevity because you get a tax break. You get all the growth in there grows tax-free, and if it's used for higher education expenses, which could include room and board and books and computers and things like that, if you use it for that, it comes out tax-free. So I do like the 529 is the best college savings plan. And the other thing that I really like about it that most people don't realize is that the money is not in the child's name. So if your kid turns 18 and they say, hey, you know what, Dad, I've been thinking a lot, and you usually say, well, that's a new event for you because I haven't seen that behavior very frequently from you yet. I think I want to get tattoos and marry my boyfriend Boutros in Vegas. I'd like my 529 money. You could say, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. We
I
can't
don't
use
think
it for
so.
that.
Yeah, it's not the use for it. So you don't have to give little Jenny her money to marry Boutros in Vegas while she gets tattoos. And so it's for college. They can't, if you do a Uniform Gift to Minors Act, a Uniform Transfer to Minors Act, technically at 18 is their money. They could do whatever they want with it. And I've seen that work out very poorly. Very poorly. Cars. So one kid buys a car that his dad didn't want him to buy. His dad calls me and says, you cannot tell little Jimmy that money's available. I said, well, if little Jimmy calls me, I have to. Lo and behold, I hang up the phone. Who's on line 2?
Jimmy.
Little Jimmy. Buys a car. The next day, he gets the car. 2 days later, he cranks like 8 mailboxes and puts it in the ditch.
Oh, no.
So not only is the money gone, the car's gone, and he's got to pay for 8 mailboxes. So,
Oh, no.
yeah. It was a quick turn on that one.
So 529.
529.
Okay.
All right.
This is from Mike. Mike's a first-time texter.
Yay,
Mike!
Mike!
Woo!
Whatever.
No, it's exciting.
Oh, yeah, yes. I'm sorry. I'm
You changed your
excited.
tone. It's
Mister.
very exciting. I'm out of debt with everything paid off, including my home. I'm married, and I'd like to know where to invest the extra money. If mutual funds, which one?
Well, look, the fact that you have everything paid off, that's admirable. I love that. And what I want you to do right now is I want you to put down the phone and get in your car and go buy a new set of golf clubs. You deserve it. You've worked very hard. You don't have to tell your wife about golf clubs. It's the one expense where I think men do not have to talk to their wives about. And
Dave is not a marriage expert.
Yeah. I would get a couple of shirts too, because you're probably going to stink at golf first. But if you look good, you've won half the battle.
Buy some pillows too, because he'll be sleeping on the porch.
My son Teddy says he wants to learn how to play golf.
Yeah, well, that's a guy that's going far in business. I like that. I like that idea. So he wants to know what to do with the money?
Hold on. I have
Just
to go
like
back
what
to
to
it.
do now, essentially.
what to do
He's
now.
like, yeah, he's got all his everything paid off.
I'd like to know where to invest the extra money. If mutual funds, which ones?
Oh. Well, it's a little bit more detailed than that. We have to find out what your investment style is really like. How risk averse are you? Or how risk accepting are you? These are important questions because while I was in the Amazon, the market was a little rocky. I don't know if you noticed. There was a couple of days where it was down 600, a couple of days when it was up 500. And you have to be able to take these gyrations of the market. There's a lot of chaos in the market right now. A lot of it's surrounding, we have a new president with a new idea, and there's a lot of tariff talk. There's a lot of changes going on. They're upsetting a lot of apple carts, and so it's chaotic. And the way that I invest as a growth investor, you buy the chaos. You buy when there's investment blood running in the streets. That's when you want to buy things if you have a long time. So if you can handle that investment style, if you can handle it when there is investment blood running freely in the streets, then I want you to be a long-term investor. And depending on your tax bracket, I might not own mutual funds. Do you have an IRA? Have you done a Roth IRA? So there's a metric that we go through to get to, well, what should you really invest in? And that's where I would start. It's, Money Magazine used to put out this thing a couple times a year, like the 5 mutual funds that you must own right now. And I always wondered, who are they writing this to? How do they know what you should own? They don't know anything about you. They don't know when your kids are going to college or how long you've been invested or what your risk tolerance is. It was the dumbest magazine ever. And it was... So the 5 mutual funds that you must own right now the editor was the former editor of Rolling Stone. Well, how do I know he knows anything about money? He might be insane. He might be writing this from an insane asylum. I don't know. And so who would take that advice? But people do. And so where I would start would be find an advisor or a place where you could say, here's who I am. Here's what is important to me. What do you think fits in to what I'm doing? And that's where that's really where I want to be. Find somebody that you trust.
You talk about Kingdom Advisors as a place to go, right?
You could do Kingdom Advisors. Absolutely. They have a T-Bone, as some people know him as Randy Fairfax.
On the board of trustees at Moody Bible Institute.
We know him as
support
T-Bone.
you, sir.
No,
we salute you.
you know him as T-Bone. We do not.
I would never call him that. I call him Mr. Trustee. Sir, you look nice today. Thank you for your hard work for the Moody Bible Institute. Randy
T-Bone
Fairfax.
has had the same pair of golf shoes, and I'm not kidding, for 30 years.
I like them.
And he
glad he's
stinks
kept them.
at golf. He's horrible.
That can't possibly be true. He might be the best golfer I've ever heard of.
The only time he hit a straight ball, I think he was aiming to the left, and it went straight.
Is he listening now? Is this why you're doing
I
this?
don't know if
you're
he's
trying to
I'm
get me in
sure he's
trouble?
listening. He loves to hear my voice. It's like it brightens his day. I know it.
He may be the best trustee that's ever been at the
Yes,
Moody
of
Bible
course.
Institute.
Right.
Tied with Julie Slattery.
Yes.
And any other trustee listening.
That's from Ohio.
Yes.
The best trustees from Ohio, yeah. Find somebody that you know, like, and trust. Listen to their advice. Double check it. Then take it.
Okay. My wife doesn't have a 401k with her current job. She had one before they sold the company. It's with Fidelity. Can she put in money and do a routing number with her old account?
No, she cannot contribute to an existing 401k if she doesn't work at the company. But what she can do is she can roll that over to an IRA at Fidelity. She can call the 1-800 number. You'll talk to somebody different every time you call. And some people don't mind that. And you say, I have a 401k with you, and I'd like to open up an IRA with you and transfer the money. Then she can contribute, assuming that that you meet the income requirements.
All right, it's break time. 440-546-2255. David Szfranski with us, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. More of answers to your financial questions. It made sense in my head, Lauren. More of answers to your financial questions together, us, we, you, on the show today in a minute.
Poverty is one of the most urgent challenges of our time. Over 700 million people around the world live in extreme poverty, surviving on less than $2.15 per day. World Vision is tackling the root causes of poverty by partnering with communities to implement sustainable solutions like access to clean water, healthcare, and nutritious food, so every child can grow into who God meant them to be. You can be part of showing Jesus love and bringing hope for the future. Visit worldvision.org/radio to get started.
I'll be in airports coming up, so I'll be getting a Starbucks, and I always tell them my name is Armando because when I was in Miami one time, they said latte for Dave, and 14 people stood up. I'm like, well, that's not going to happen again. So now I'm Armando to coffee shops, and whenever I put in a reservation at a restaurant or anything like that, my name's Armando.
And I just took a bite of my Cliff Bar.
Yeah, why'd you do that?
It's delicious.
Yeah, why did you do that?
I thought I had more time.
That's what they always say on their deathbed. I thought I had more time.
I'm working for a living over here, and I haven't had a chance to eat. Where's my...
You could have, but you got scared of putting something in the microwave without instructions.
That's very true. I don't know. That's true. I need directions,
We can't take him on a well dig. He would just be in the fetal position in the jungle.
For the record, the instructions were there. He just didn't see them.
He'd be covered with tarantulas. I can't move.
And I know this about myself. That's why I don't go on these shows. You should come with me, Brian. I should not.
No, you should. We should, now that you're all aware that we have Starlink there, you could do the show from the jungle. It's fine.
It'd be fun.
Would be fun.
Don't say that, because you're not going either.
I'd go.
You'd go.
Wait, what?
I would go. I'm not loving the 24 hours on a boat, but that's okay.
No, that's one of the best parts. It's the 20 hours on the boat. You've got your hammock strung up.
I get a
It's a
little
big
seasick,
boat.
though.
It's a very big boat. My
I don't
wife
sleep
gets
in
seasick.
hammocks.
She's never gotten seasick on the trip. It's not like that. It's not a rocking boat. It's the river, so it's pretty calm. You're
Except
on
for
the
the
hammock. You
piranhas
can walk
and
around.
hippos.
There's no hippos there. We swim in the river, but this boat that we're on in between Manaus and Maués for 20 hours, it's huge. It's 4 stories. You can walk around. There's a sandwich shop on it.
I'm sold. I don't have those here.
Yeah.
I can't go to Jimmy John's or Subway, so I got to go on a 20-hour
You could make
boat trip.
you could get a ham and cheese sandwich made for you.
My wife Sarah says she'll go with you.
Yeah, see, let's go.
Girls trip to the Amazon.
Girls trip.
Girls and Dave.
I don't know if Dave's gonna go if the two of you go. He'll get bossed around too much.
I get bossed around enough here. I don't know if I need it in the jungle.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah, you're not the boss here, so.
I'm staying home.
I am not the boss here.
Girls trip.
Am I the boss here?
No.
Can you say it a little slower?
No.
Have you ever gotten the death stare that she got me when she looked into the depths of my very soul?
I don't know.
I don't know if I've gotten the death stare.
I'm sure you have.
I get the looks
Brian
of...
follows the rules. You do not. So you get the death stare.
Yeah, I do follow the rules. So, but I do get the, what are you doing? Look all the time.
Because things
or
like...
I can't believe you said that. Look.
The instructions are on the fridge and you don't see them. Same things happens in here. The instructions are on the sheet in front of you and you don't see them.
Yes.
So you coming in here saying, there's no instructions when they're on the fridge.
I went through great lengths to rescue the box from the trash. Josh was halfway out the door with it. I
taking
saved the
recycling.
box and I cut the instructions out and I put it at eye level.
Eye level.
2
It
minutes,
is.
Brian, in the microwave. Everything's 2 minutes.
That's not
right.
true.
Well, basically, yes, it is.
Follow the rules. Thus saith the Lord.
Yeah, follow the rules and you don't get the death stare, Dave.
I forgot my place one time, and I suggested Lauren do something, and I totally forgot where I was at.
She reminded you.
She looked
Yes.
at me like she was going to just rip out my heart.
You can't tell Lauren to do chores around here.
No chores.
No.
Okay, Dave. If oil prices come down, does that mean the stock prices come down too?
No, not necessarily, because I think what we're aiming for is, and there's a sweet spot for oil prices that what they do is they really provide for economic growth, and then you get in that economic growth, you're expanding markets, so you're actually selling a lot more oil at a slightly lower price. It's really good for oil companies. It's good for Ron read in the news, Energy Transfer Partners, who just won a lawsuit against Greenpeace. I wanted to shed a tear of happiness this morning when I read that story. It was so anything that debilitates Greenpeace, I'm all for. But they will move substantially more product, and that's really where the profit is at. If oil is at $120 a barrel, their profits go down. They just don't sell as much, and so at a lower price. And there is this kind of range of probably between $40 and $70 a barrel, where that's their sweet spot, and that will provide economic growth. It grows markets. They sell way more oil, and they make a lot more money.
Okay. We bank at Huntington Bank. We have money in a 5-month, 4+% interest rate. They advised us to talk to their in-house financial advisor about investment options.
Mm-hmm.
Should we go that route or use a different investor in town?
Well, they're going to talk to you about an annuity. That's what they have to do. This is what they do. That's what the bank people do. That's where they make the most money. I wouldn't necessarily shy away from talking to them, but it wouldn't be the only people I talk to. I would talk to somebody who can offer you a little bit more broad-based advice, because, if the in-house person says, well, I think you should have a portfolio in these stocks, the bank makes hardly any money off of that. And banks aren't in the business of not making money, so they're going to talk to you about an annuity, most likely. And so I would talk to somebody else also, and don't commit to anything. Don't sign any paperwork with the bank until you talk to somebody else.
Okay. I'm looking to get into the finance world. I have 2 master's degrees, but no financial experience. What would you suggest is the best route to take to become a CFP?
Is that a certified financial planner?
Yeah,
Dave?
that's a designation that you take. Wow.
Nailed it.
He's so proud of himself when he gets like, Brian, what's 2 + 2? We'll build his ego up a little bit more. What is it?
6.
Yeah, you're close. You're close enough for you. CFP is a designation that you get over time. You have to take classes for that and take a test. But to get into the financial world, because you have no financial experience, I would probably look, you could start with a bank, might give you some training, or a big firm where they'll provide a little bit of a salary early on. Like a lot of firms will provide you with a salary to start that declines over time. And eventually you're just on your own payroll. You eat what you kill. And There's a lot of firms that will do that. There's a lot of big firms, like a Fidelity, for instance. A Fidelity will pay you a salary to take phone calls and give people advice. And certainly they have a lot of education. They're going to have to take a test, like a Series 6, Series 7, an Ohio insurance exam, things like that. But I would talk to the big firms, Vanguard, Fidelity first. They have really good training programs, and that's where I'd want to be. I'd want to be in a firm that is going to take the time over a couple of years to train you on financial products and where to use them.
So you can become an advisor at one of those big companies, and they'll train you. You don't have to have the training first.
Most likely. I'm sure they would rather have somebody with experience that has a book of business that they're going to bring over, but they're always looking for people. There's a reason why there's revolving doors on those places. People come and go very frequently. And so they're always looking for people, and especially educated people.
Maybe I should do that.
You'd stand a great chance of probably being a janitor there.
I can't do any math.
Yes, well, that's going to be a problem.
With the calculator, I can do basic math.
Last week you said that 2 is bigger than 3.
It depends on how you look at it.
Numerically greater than 3.
No, it depends on how you look at it. In the Olympics, 2 is greater than 3, Dave.
But that's not numerically.
In my mind,
numerically, 2 is greater than 3. Dave has nothing to say.
Disappointed in you.
I've never seen Dave without words.
I'll take second place. It's bigger.
You're right, Brian. You're right.
Thank you. Is that so hard, Lauren, for you to do?
Did you see the eye roll he gave when he said that?
He still said it.
Yeah, you're right.
Words matter, Lauren.
Have you ever heard of the book called Fire Your Financial Advisor by Greg Aller? It arrived free in the mail.
It must be good then if it's free in the mail.
Yeah. I have not heard of that book. And
yes, you did, Dave.
I did?
I brought it in the one day and showed you, and I said, I got this for free in the mail. How good could it be?
Right.
But I only showed it to you for a short time, so you didn't think about it that much.
I wonder if people are firing you because they got a book in the mail.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time I got fired. Probably won't be the last time I get fired. And
you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. I think the idea behind a financial advisor is, everybody that's listening to me and everybody in this room is really good at some things. Really good at some things.
Thank you.
And they're really bad at some other things.
Well,
right?
true.
So, like, if I went out to my truck right now and I said, oh my gosh, my transmission's laying on the ground, I'm not going to break out my ratchet set and fix the transmission. I'm going to take it to somebody. I'm going to take it to an expert. They're going to say, first of all, why is your transmission on the ground? I don't know. I just drive the thing. And so with money management, that is also true. Some people are really good. I talk to business owners. They're really good at building a business. They're really good at delegating. They're really good at doing things. And then you look at their retirement savings. They say, well, I didn't know I could save for retirement, because they're so busy building something that they're not doing the other things that are really necessary. So you hire people to do that. And, if you find somebody that you know, like, and trust and is fair with their fees, I think you have a good relationship there. I always look for, when I see a portfolio that I don't like, what it has in it is a lot of that company's product. So you think, okay, I'm with firm X, and firm X has their own mutual funds, and my portfolio owns all of firm X's mutual funds. So you're telling me that firm X has the best mutual funds in the marketplace? Really? All of them? Well, no, they probably don't. Fidelity has a lot of mutual funds. Some of their funds are complete dogs. They're dogs. I wouldn't sell them to my worst enemy. They're so bad. And so even firms like Fidelity and Vanguard have investments that I would never use. So I look for things like that. If your financial advisor is being a homer, if they're charging you a fee that is exorbitant, then I would switch. But if you have somebody that you know, like, and trust, they've done a good job for you, they've grown your assets, they've provided valuable advice, I probably wouldn't fire them.
All right. Can you transfer money to a health savings account from a standard IRA without paying taxes?
No.
That's it? No. Who are you? Do you know who you are? You're Dave Szfranski.
Why? They asked a question.
There's no rabbit trail. There's no yelling Chair Powell.
I was teaching Sunday school at my church, and somebody said...
I can't believe they allow that.
That we were talking about different... I know, right? I just told my wife I'm going to figure out a way out of this, but I haven't figured that out yet. And somebody said, well, your teaching style is a little unique. You usually tell a long, unrelated story first.
Correct.
Lauren's over there like, huh.
Correct. I'm pretty sure this is a question we didn't answer today because I don't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, you talked about being a homer.
A homer.
When both of us, we looked at each other like,
You don't know what a homer is?
Simpson? Homer the ancient writer?
You don't know what a homer is? It's like when you
home run in a baseball
You're just
game?
selling all of your own product. You're going into your own product bag and saying, oh, yeah, my firm is great at this. My firm is great at that. My firm is great at this. No, they're not.
Ron, you're nodding like you know what that is.
Yeah. Like if I am talking about the NFL to a group of people and I start to say, but the best team is the Cleveland Browns, obviously, they're going to say, you're a homer because the Browns are objectively not the best team.
Lauren, have you heard people talking like this?
No.
I'll tell you.
I've never heard this.
No one's called you a homer?
No.
I'd be like, excuse me, don't call me that.
I'm insulted. I don't even know what you just said.
The ultimate homer in investing is Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett gets TV time for hours at a shot. The CNBC will interview Warren Buffett for 3 straight hours. And all he does is talk his own book. While he's drinking a Diet Coke and eating some from a company that he owns. He drinks like 10 Cokes a day. How is this guy even alive?
It sounds good to me.
So he's doing, they're giving him 3 hours to talk his own book. Now, he's been kind of successful, but there's other investors.
Yeah, it seems like he might have been doing okay.
Well, he does do okay, but his average rate of return is less than a lot of other people because he invests relatively conservatively. He did not even get involved in technology until a few years ago. So he missed some of the biggest technology booms that were known to mankind. But he'll sit there and talk his book for 3 straight hours. I'm like, this guy is nothing but a homer. Now, you could make money with him, yeah, but you could make money in a lot of places.
Lauren, you should see if you can use that today.
I'm still like not grasping what's going on.
You should call Eddie a homer.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying when I say that, so.
And then when he doesn't know, just laugh. Like, you don't know what a homer is? Oh, my gosh.
Loser.
How long have you been out of the country, buddy?
Eddie's a loser.
440-546-2255. It's not Follow-Up Friday, but it is time for you to get David Szfranski your financial questions. 440-546-2255.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But what if you could get both? Why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge, but it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. And we know this from research of members. There's a lot they like about MediShare, but especially they love being part of something they believe in. And MediShare works, too. It has for more than 30 years. There are hundreds of thousands of members who love having telehealth if they need it. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or you're part of the gig economy or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
From Moody Publishers, a book designed to grow your faith, to really authentically grow your faith. In Fake Christianity, Jed Coppinger exposes the hidden traps of hypocrisy, prayerlessness, neglecting the Bible, gossip, and bitterness. Then, with a pastoral heart, Coppinger takes you through the teachings of Jesus, showing how to overcome inauthenticity and grow in true discipleship. Is it time to finally get serious about following Jesus? Fake Christianity is available right now at moodybooks.org.
Get up, get ready, and get going. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian, Moody Radio Cleveland, 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Loving guard.
Has he ever done this before? Are you new?
I totally give up. I'm having a moment here.
It's because of me. I'm back, and you're a little flustered.
I'm
isn't it?
flustered. You're flustering me.
I know.
Anyway,
I
Dave
know.
Szfranski.
Dave's here.
Loving guard.
Hey, Dave.
Dave.
I can't believe they hired you.
Financial questions for
No.
Dave.
Okay. Is a wealth
can't recover.
managed account affordable? What percentage is a reasonable charge?
I think somewhere around 1%, unless you're asking them to do something esoteric like, option strategies, puts, calls, straddles, things like that. If you're asking them to do something much more intense, there should be a commensurate fee for it. But if you're asking them to invest for you, I think 1% is a fair fee.
Okay.
Okay, Homer.
So we custody all of our money with a firm. Okay, we could use any firm that we want. We could use Fidelity, Vanguard, whatever. So the firm that we custody money with, who holds all of our money, does offer their own products. We've never used them. And I've never used them because I don't want to look like a homer. There's so many good investments out there.
Who wants to be yellow and bald and love donuts like that?
Oh, I thought you were talking about me for a second. I was going to call you a jerk.
Homer Simpson, Dave.
Oh, never mind.
440.
Brian, why would you call me yellow?
5. Now Lauren's falling apart here.
Yes.
440-546-2255.
I was going to punch you.
I have 3 matured annuities through my bank, which generated an RMD, which is
Required minimum distribution.
of $10,489.
Yeah.
I made out a list of QCDs, which is
Qualified charitable distributions.
including Moody Radio. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's about time you ponied up.
We don't hear that a lot from people, so that's very
It's very
generous.
We
Thank
were
you for
starting
doing
to
that.
think you were a cheapskate. Now we know
not
different.
you. Totaling $10,400 for my broker, and I was told they didn't like to give money to third parties. Am I stuck paying taxes on that money as income, or is there another way around their rules?
What do you mean they don't like giving money to third parties? It's your money. You can give it to whoever you want.
So they don't like doing
You
that third
tell
party?
them I said, give the money or I'm coming to take it from you. So
So the
yes.
question is, am I stuck paying taxes on that money as income, or is there a way around their rules? Do I have till April to donate that money for 2024, or will my donations be counted for 2025?
You have until April 15th of 2025 or until you file your taxes. Now, let's say you filed your taxes and then you do the QCDs. You could file an amended return, but it's just a pain in the neck. Your broker, any broker can give money to a third party
Is
with
it
your
hard
permission.
to do that?
No, they need something in writing because they're giving the money to somebody other than you, the account holder. So you have to give them permission to do that. This is such a simple transaction. They're being lazy. Don't let them be lazy. Hold their feet to the fire and say, look, this is my money. This is what I want to do with it. I'm telling you to do it, and you're going to do it.
Now, just for the sake of our own benefit, can you remind people what a qualified charitable distribution is, Dave?
Yeah, so you're over the age of 73. You have a required minimum distribution. You can give that required minimum distribution and more, like up to $108,000 a year, to qualified charities. You pay no tax on that money. So the money comes out. And so let's say you're giving to your church.
Or Moody Radio.
Or Moody Radio.
Sure.
Yeah, and you have a planned giving strategy to them. You give it out of your IRA, and nobody's ever going to pay tax on that money.
Because it goes directly to the charity.
Directly to the charity.
From
It doesn't
your account
come
to
to
the
you.
charity.
Yeah, you have to. So there's a form for everything. We have a qualified charitable distribution form. We need to know the 501c3 number, the address, and the name. That's it. And then you sign the form, we send it in, and the money doesn't go to your checking account. It goes to Moody Radio checking account. It just bypasses you entirely. So it's considered a third-party distribution because it's not going to you. It's going to the charity. It's totally appropriate to do this. Everybody does this. If your firm doesn't do this, you should fire them.
Okay. I inherited a non-qualified annuity, $100,000, and I was told I had to roll it into another annuity to stretch it to avoid paying a third of it in taxes. I'm to stretch it for my life, taking 4%, yet it's growing 7%. Then it goes to my husband and kids. Is there a better way of handling that annuity and take more than 4% a year? Can it be changed or moved into a different product or take more annually at any time due to the tax situation?
Well, I'd have to see the annuity that you moved it into, but you could take out whatever you want. Annuities they're one of the things that does not get stepped up basis when they're inherited, because there's a non-tax portion of that, the part that was contributed, that doesn't get taxed. It's the growth in the annuity that gets taxed. So there's a formula that let's say that you contributed $75,000 and it grew to $100,000. So you got $25,000 of growth. So out of every distribution, 1/4 of it will be taxable to you. You could just take the money out and just pay the tax. It's kind of found money, it wasn't your money.
Do you ever advise that for people, just to pay a third in tax and take the money and run?
Yeah, depending on their financial situation, absolutely. Everybody's different. So if you're in the highest tax brackets, but you were going to retire soon and go thereby be in a lower tax bracket, I might wait a little bit to do that so that you don't pay that higher tax rate. So there's a lot of strategies just to try and be tax effective, tax efficient in your distributions. And maybe that's why they're doing it this way. But if you hadn't rolled it into another annuity, you would have paid taxes on whatever the growth was in there. So, and it might have been worth doing. I don't know.
Okay. We don't have time for much more. Do you have any tax tips for people as the time is nearing?
Well, definitely pay your taxes. If you owe taxes, pay. If you're getting more than a $200 refund, you need to rethink your withholding. Okay. I don't want you getting a big refund. And it's not too late to start an IRA or a Roth. Now, there's no tax break for a Roth on the front end. It's all on the back end. The younger you are, the more sense a Roth makes. So if you haven't done, let's say you got your 401k and you're meeting the match, so you're getting the free money, but you still have some room to save yet, consider an IRA and especially a Roth if you're under the age of 50.
Laren, any thoughts on using a certified public accountant for taxes?
It changed my life.
Wow.
It really did.
In fact, today you're going to have an opportunity to in person meet your certified public accountant. You're very excited about this. He's your hero. Laren.
He is my hero, but I don't know if I'm very excited about it. I've only ever emailed with him. So.
Yeah, but CPAs are great. They do it for you. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
I used to get so stressed out doing
TurboTax. He asked me 2 questions and acted like it was too many. Like he was like, I can't believe I have to ask you 2 questions. He's like, I'm so sorry. This is the last question.
Maybe he didn't think you were capable of answering.
Oh, no, it's an easy question.
Okay.
She's smart, Dave.
She is smart.
Thank you.
She's smart enough to know who the boss is here, for sure.
Me.
All right. Nothing wrong about that statement. So let's get out of here. We got tomorrow's follow-up Friday. If you want to reach out to Dave Szfranski, best way to do that is come to us right here. Just text us, 440-546-2255. We'll connect you. Thanks, Dave.
Boom shakalaka.
Yeah, you say that. It makes you say it just to annoy Laren, don't you?
That's right, Homer.
Okay, Marge. Time to get out of here. We'll talk to you tomorrow.